Oh, great way to start a stream with your mouth open. Yeah, go ahead and pick your teeth. Yeah, great, great, wonderful, fabulous. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing a great job. I'm adjusting my camera because if you will notice, I'm back where I normally am at my actual seat with my actual mic because I actually have a whole new computer, all brand new. Uh, with the exception of the speakers right there. I've opted to keep the old ones because they weren't broken. I wasn't sure. Hi, who's in the chat room? Hey, C. Wraith, how you doing? I mean, if it's not in his mouth, it's his cat's ass. So yeah, good point. It's one or the other.
hmm
So yeah.
Honestly, I don't know which is better. I don't know which is
I do.
worse.
I do. I know which one is better.
Okay.
So yeah, all new computer. Decided to um just give up. I mean, not give up, but just like just bite the bullet because I've been struggling. I mean, I guess it was the other night. I looked over and I looked at this microphone. It's actually really dusty because I haven't used it in so long. I'm looking at the microphone over in the corner and I'm thinking to myself, "Good lord, how useless is it that I have this amazing mic and I'm like just every week going over to that table over there and using a very nice headset, but not this." And it hit me that I just need to bite the bullet and just tear it all down, figure out what's broken, and then find something else. And holy shit, did I find something else? I almost wish Kevin was alive. I mean, I do. I always wish Kevin was alive, but I wish he was alive, particularly so that I could show him all the stuff that I got to pull out, the pile of cords and cables and boxes and interfaces and everything, and how I replaced it with. I can't really pick it up because it's all wired in now. I fixed it with that box right there. See that box? That does everything. Everything that I did with soundboards and wires and cables and interfaces and making insies talk to outsies. You just plug it in, one wire out. Actually, two wires in. Microphone, computer, headphones. Done. Oh, earring. Everything done. Yeah, I found a missing earring on top of everything else. So, which I
Hmm.
was missing that earring. I wanted that earring, but I got
Well, good.
yeah, I got all new
Good thing to
monitor.
find.
Yeah, I got an all new monitor. Ooh, oh, I got a same camera because the camera was good. It was a good camera. It still is a good camera. But I got a new monitor, new computer. It's totally silent. Oh, it's so nice. It's so quiet. So quiet. Whip fast. I'm happy. So thank you for posting the Patreon. No Patreon money was used for this. You know, it was used for this tax refund from last year. Finally arrived. Are the old audios lost on the old hard drive? No, no, they weren't. I transferred over. It's a Mac. You press a button and everything transfers over. And I'm in the process of because the old Mac was broken. There's a lot of stuff that didn't make it manually, but you can't see it, but it's actually sitting on the floor, actually powered with everything together. And I just am able to log into it from this computer and then just transfer stuff over, which I've been doing periodically. But yeah, it's so nice. I don't even want to remember. I don't want to think about. I didn't spend that much. I actually got everything at a significant discount. Black Friday. Black Friday is a good thing. So I just Black Friday the hell out of it. Got a $600 monitor for $200. Got the base that actually adds a terabyte, adds extra cables or extra plugs, and a terabyte of memory or hard drive, SDD for $70. The Vocaster I think was on sale too. I can't remember what it was, but it was like less than $100. So really, it ended up not being very expensive except for the Mac, but the Mac is always expensive because it's a Mac. But I did get a $100 gift card as part of Black Friday. So technically I got $100 off, but it's not actually $100. $100 in Apple credit, which I probably will use on an Apple Watch because I really want an Apple Watch. So old audio's all safe and sound. Nothing's been lost. Everything is here. So that's what I did this weekend. And if you ask me what game I played, it was the crawling underneath my desk and breathing in dust and pulling out. There's only one box. That is only one of the box of cables that I removed from behind my desk and under my desk, which was replaced by 2 cables. Doing. Gotta love that sound. So how are you, Nick? Hey, you're engaged.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a wife.
Yeah.
Weird. You're gonna have a wife. So cool. Sorry. I'm still on that. I'm still basking in the glory of that.
When we start the show for good, I can tell the story of how I actually proposed.
Oh, do you want to do that? All right, let's start the show.
Let's start.
Starting the show now.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 699. I realized that today. Next week is our 700th episode, Nick.
Ooh.
That is insane to me. 700 freaking episodes. But anyway, yeah.
That's a lot. That's pretty impressive.
That is actually how there's not a lot of podcasts out there that have made it to 700 episodes. And going strong. Not going to stop anytime soon.
No.
So welcome to GameHounds. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola. I think he's over there on your screen.
Yeah.
There you go.
There.
So Nick is going to regale us with how he proposed, because you, motherfucker, didn't tell me that you were going to propose. That's what you do for friends. You tell them first.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
You do.
No.
You do.
No, I don't.
All right. So you didn't. So how did you propose? Because you proposed in your house.
Yes, in our apartment.
How long prior to you? Like, I proposed to Kevin in my house, and it was a spur of the moment, and I said it, and he said yes, and then we realized what had just happened. It was not planned. There was no going down on bended knee. There was no nothing.
No, it was more than that. It was planned. It was.
So how long did you plan it?
Like, I guess first I should say what it is. We played a lot of hidden object games on PlayStation, and we really enjoyed playing those together. And so I made a real life hidden object game. And so I basically collected a whole bunch of stuff from around the apartment. I do have a ton of pictures, but I don't know if they'll come through.
Yeah.
I could put them on Discord.
Yeah, you could. Well, anyway, tell us all about it. So
yeah, so a whole bunch of stuff.
We've got
you
the
can't
ring
tell
light.
with the ring light.
Yeah. Turn the ring light to the left.
Ring light. Fuck off. So you can see that's a sewing machine and a bunch of junk.
Uh-huh.
Come on. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not focusing.
Yeah, because pull it back just a little bit away from the camera. There you go. There we are.
So yeah, that's just one angle.
Uh-huh.
But you can see like a sewing machine. There's a controller, quilting stuff, game stuff. Then there's got like a can, painting, photographs. You know, if you played a hidden object game, you know they're just dense with stuff. And so I create a whole bunch of things, and then I printed out like a little sheet of what to find, and it was separated into categories of Nick stuff, then Rachel stuff, then our stuff. And so she kind of had to complete each section before she could move on. So first she had to find all of Nick's stuff. Then she had to find all of Rachel's stuff. Then she had to find all of our stuff. But one of the things under our stuff was a tissue box holder. And underneath the tissue box holder was the case with the ring in it. So I just kind of waited until she picked up the tissue box holder. And then I grabbed the ring and did the whole get down on one knee thing. But what's funny is she didn't even notice at first because she was like, okay, I've got this. I've got
She's
this.
focused. She's like, I'm on a roll. I'm getting all the stuff. Give me the game. When do I get to the end of the game? What do I win?
She's like, I've got this. And then she was moving on to the next thing before I picked it up and was like, hey. But yeah, like a lot of the things are just fun things between us. Like I always get her a glass of water. So one of the things under her stuff was a glass of water that she had to pick up. Lots of sewing stuff for her because she does a lot of sewing. That she made that in the background.
There, right there in the background. That's her.
Yeah. And so yeah, that was it. I proposed and then we went out to dinner.
Did you, when you went out to dinner, did you tell them we just got engaged? They will comp your dinner for that.
Really?
No. Oh, they were fucking comp your dinner for that. Absolutely.
I didn't.
That's also a really good way to like work that is just keep putting the ring back in the box. And every time you go to dinner, get down on one knee in the middle of the restaurant and they will fucking comp your dinner all the time.
No, I think we told them that and they gave us a free dessert.
Okay.
But
good.
like we had went there. Good. Like I wasn't trying to get anything for free.
Yeah. Bitter says, game over, man. Game over. Only 676 or so audio episodes. Fuck off. Now, here's the thing. Now I have the computer that I can actually download stuff and put them up without it taking for fucking ever to do it. It's a good point. I should actually do that today. Hey, Alejandra. Hi. So if you didn't you see, I'll see the title of this episode.
Only a little hungover. Why are you hungover? I've been like having a whole bunch of old fashions lately because
old fashions are amazing.
Rachel's dad made some while we were in Florida and they're really good. So when we got back, I bought a bunch of the stuff to make them and I've been trying to do it, but like all the recipes call for old fashions that are like that thick, like they're really small. Well, if you order it like from a restaurant, it's like, yeah, here's a big cup of that much.
Right.
And it's like, wait a minute, am I doing something wrong? Like what's
Well, it's supposed to have a lot of ice. That's the thing.
Hmm.
It has a lot of ice. So
okay.
Yeah, and that makes that fills up the glass. A little bit of alcohol and a lot of ice fills up the glass.
I'm slowly figuring out the actual ratios. Because like every recipe is different.
Yeah.
You look up like, hey, how to make an old fashioned? It's like, here's how you do it. It's like, okay, what does this other site say? Oh, use this different thing. It's like, wait, what? Use an ice cube. Put in half a shot of water. It's like, wait, what? Those are two very different things.
Yeah.
So
my
I've been
company's
drinking a lot because that. Why are you hungover?
my company's Christmas dinner.
Oh.
I invited my brother as my date.
Was it a good dinner?
Well, it was Friday night.
Was it an open bar?
It was Friday night, and what's the name of this episode on a Sunday morning?
Okay.
It was good. Some of the best wine I've ever had. Oh my God. The food was
Oh,
amazing.
good.
It was a sit down full 5-course meal. 5 or 6-course meal,
Wow.
I can't remember. With wine for every really, really good wine for
Mm.
every one. Then
AC Wraith says Mary butts on copy machines.
yeah, there were no coffee machines to be had. And then we left from there and we went around the corner to Bix, a jazz restaurant, where we filled up 2 full tables and then ordered a shit ton of more food, like crab cakes and
Wait,
uh
wait. This is after you had a 5-course meal?
yeah, more like schnibbles, like crab cakes and oysters and bottles of champagne and
Still, how do you have room for that?
because we were all of us so hammered.
Jupiter,
So
come here.
so hammered, all of us. But that's what we do. That's what Lighthouse does. We don't get together much, but when we do, everybody gets hammered, but on the best, having the best time with each other. I've never been with a group of 25 people who enjoy each other's company that much, and we had such a great time.
Good.
Yeah. I just remembered, I think I took pictures at some point. I think I was running around taking pictures of everybody. I'll have to look to see. No idea. Oh yeah. There's pictures to be had. There are pictures. There's proof. I was there. Let's see where.
I don't know. I don't see you in any of those pictures.
No,
This isn't
I'm not
proof.
there in all of them. They're just pictures of people.
I don't know.
What the hell is that? Okay.
For all I know, this could just be stock photographs of an office party.
No, that's okay. This actually is really, really, really good because one of the things that my company doesn't know. Shh, don't say anything. Last time I worked there, over Christmas, I got everybody T-shirts that were, the thing at the time, and it was everybody's name, like Bo and ampersand Rich, and and I named everybody in the company down the whole side of the shirt, and I got one for everybody. So this year, and at the time, I had the 3 bosses, and I got the 3 bosses socks with their faces on it. Which I just thought was hilarious. So each of them had socks with their own faces on them. And they were like, these are really nice socks. They finally used them like, I ran out of socks. And it's like, oh, I guess I'll use these novelty socks. And they're like, these are really nice socks. I'm like, yes, I know. They're good socks. This year, I have decided that I'm going to make a set of playing cards for everybody.
Oh,
But they're
that's
the whole company's faces on the playing cards. Like each playing card has a face, has our faces on it. So I've had a fun time kind of figuring out who I'm going to put on the kings, who I'm going to put on the queens, who I'm going to put on the jacks, and then which each of the numbers are, and making sure that nobody has like 2 cards next to each other that's the same person. And I also want to kind of fill it out with some like general pictures, of people having fun. So that's why I took a bunch of pictures, and then I got distracted and somebody put another drink in my hand, and then
that was all downhill from
oh, so downhill. But fortunately,
Seriously, point. He's been stalking people on socials and leaving them alone.
yeah, kind of.
And to justify all the food they needed to soak up the alcohol, but apparently it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I got home at 3:45.
Okay.
And they hired cars for everybody that was local to come home, to be driven home. Everybody else got a hotel room. But I, for some inexplicable reason, walked into the kitchen and pulled out a container of cranberry sauce left over from Thanksgiving that I like frozen, and then I just frosted like 2 days before, so it was all sitting there. And I remember eating cranberry sauce and thinking to myself, this is disgusting. And then like passing out and waking up, watching YouTube, eating cranberry sauce, and just like in various states of waking up. waking up, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go to bed.
Did you wake up like with the cranberry
Cranberry
sauce
sauce?
on
No,
your
no, 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 no,
chest? It's
no,
like, huh?
no, no.
Like you woke up with half a spoonful, and you're like, well, it's already spooned. I may as well just
You may as well
eat
eat it. Yeah, there were a couple of moments like that. Like, what was I doing? Oh yeah, eating cranberry sauce. Oh, it's disgusting.
It's just disgusting. Oh wait, actually, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good,
Oh,
but it's
oh,
still
past eating. You know what you were doing.
No, but I did wake up the next morning with a big thing of cranberry sauce on the dining room on the coffee table. I'm thinking to myself, how did that get out here? Oh yeah.
You start piecing it together.
Start piecing it all together. So yeah, today I'm much better. But yesterday I pretty much got
Good.
like walked the dogs. I didn't walk the dogs. I went outside. I just looked at the dogs and goes, just poop and pee. I don't care what you do, but you have to be very quiet while you do it, dudes. Just do it. And they're like, okay, I got you, Mom. They both pooped and peed. I'm like, cool.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna go inside, lie down on the couch. I'm gonna watch YouTube videos, and that's what I did. I was the entire day waking up and falling asleep while I was watching YouTube videos.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Rick says, I like the cranberry sauce without the berries. And then
just the jelly. This is
I-
kind of the jelly cranberries. This is not jellied, but it's like cranberry sauce without the berries, but it's more like a I don't say pudding, but like a not like wiggly jelly. But it's smooth. But
Mhm.
it's more like it's sauce as opposed to a jelly.
Also, I don't know who Little John is.
I don't know who Lil Jon is, but he sounds like a rapper, and yes. Yes. So,
And yeah,
Girl
and
Scout
it has
drink,
a
I would
update on
get
the Girl Scout drink.
Girl Scout drink? Tell me about the Girl Scout. Why do I not know about the Girl Scout? Or was it something you put in the Discord? Because I would never read it in the Discord. Yeah, he's a rapper. Yeah. Yeah. I can guarantee you I was living my best life right then. Okay, look in the Discord. So they're making Girl Scouts cocktails, which I cannot believe that Girl
No,
Scouts would be
it's
supporting that.
it's like breakfast thing. Samosas are the cookies, the
Right, the
coconut caramel
coconut cookies, right.
Yeah.
That would make it amazing. That's challenge accepted. Challenge freaking accepted.
It
I
looks like
am
it's like
going to
it's a
make
breakfast drink.
I'm gonna make cocktails out of them. I'm gonna actually make myself. I'm gonna create some recipes of
A
Girl Scout cookie drinks.
I mean, okay, you could do like a chocolate coconut
And it's
cocktail.
Samoas, not samosas. Samosas is something is mimosa with a Samoa is a samosa.
Oh,
Samoa.
right. See, that's probably why I always get Samoas and mimosas confused, because I always look at that and go, samosa.
Yeah, no, it's Samoa. That's the coconut with the
Yeah, little chocolate
chocolate
drizzle on it.
stripes, right?
Yeah, they're classic.
Yeah.
They're great.
No, the classic is the Thin Mint.
No,
This-
thin mint is like a staple. It's one of the constants of the universe. There's the speed of light, and then there's thin mints.
Thin Mints.
So Samoas are like they're good, but they're not thin mint.
Yeah, no, they're not Thin Mints. All right, so yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I think I'm going to try and do that this Christmas. Is perfect.
I mean, you know what?
Girl Scout cookie cocktails.
A like chocolate mint cocktail is very Christmassy.
A chocolate mint cocktail is a very Christmassy. And I mean,
Yeah.
I've already got in my head like cream de mint and what you need to make with
Oh
it.
yeah.
Same thing with Samoa. A coconut, something coconut, like a Malibu coconut rum with maybe like Bailey's, makes a Bailey's chocolate. Or some kind of really nice chocolate liqueur. And maybe a little something with a vanilla in it over ice.
All
shaken in a glass, shaken in a martini glass rimmed with pink sugar.
Oh, you know what? All this talk
vanilla sugar with vanilla sugar. Oh, yes.
All this talk of drinks made me remember that it's December, which means that there's probably the Trader Joe's eggnog
Mm-hmm.
They've got like a rum eggnog that
Oh,
was
do they?
really, really good.
Why don't you just buy eggnog and put rum in it?
Because I don't want to do that. I want
How?
to get the
What?
pre-mixed.
How hard?
I want to get the professionally mixed because the Trader Joe's one has the ratio just right.
Yeah, maybe. But I already consumed my first quart of eggnog that I bought. I bought the eggnog over Thanksgiving, and then I finished it up, I think, last week sometime. But I was mixing it with cognac. Ooh, really nice with cognac. Because I'm out of rum.
I don't drink, but Bailey's. I like Bailey's Irish cream and thing. Yeah, the Bailey's Irish cream is always good.
Bailey's now has a chocolate.
Just put
Irish
that
cream
little bit
chocolate.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that and coffee.
Yep.
Delicious.
Exactly. All right. So, what did you play this week? I played the Sober Up game.
I played a lot of things. I also can talk about some stuff that I played last week that I didn't want to get into because I was streaming from an iPad that looked really awful and I didn't quite want to drag it out.
Right.
I wanted to
Hey,
be
I
on
have a cough button. Check it out. Like a professional. Anyway, you were saying?
I wanted to be on a good connection with a good setting, so that when I told people that I played Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, they can look into my eyes when I say I fucking hate that game. That game is so frustrating. I will say, it's not a bad game, but everything good that it does is stuff I don't like, and everything I like in games is stuff it does bad. I didn't like Breath of the Wild. I think that game is hugely overrated. I found it incredibly frustrating to play, but my work, they have like a bonus points they can give you. Hey, if you go above and beyond, we'll give you like 1,000 points for this like work thing.
Mm-hmm.
And usually at the end of the year, they give all employees like 1,000 points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been gathering these points for like the past 10 years of working there. And so I finally decided, you know what can I get with these? And I'm looking through the list of like, what can I buy with these bonus points that I got from work? And it's a lot of like binoculars. Yeah, you can get a grill. And then I was like, do they have video games? So I looked at video games and I found Tears of the Kingdom. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, you know what? I didn't like Breath of the Wild. I probably won't like Tears of the Kingdom. But everyone is going so nuts over it. Everyone has such positive things to say about it. I will try it if I can try it for free.
Yeah.
And so I bought it with the points and I played it on the plane ride back from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not for me. And like I said, I don't want to say that it's a bad game, but everything that I don't like about games, which is crafting. And I will say, I think you were showing a very poor video of it because this looks exciting. This is nothing like what I played.
Oh, really?
This actually looks entertaining and compelling. And I was just in this. So okay, the stuff that it does well. Crafting is a huge component of this game. I don't generally like crafting in games. I generally find it like kind of tedious. I never use the things that I craft. I always try to. I'm too much of a hoarder to like get that right balance between using stuff in
Making it
collecting
yourself.
stuff and then using it.
Right.
Which is why like I was blown away by Subnautica because that game kind of made crafting fun in a way that I've played a bunch of those games before that never quite hooked me. And so, like in the very, very beginning, like skip to the very beginning, like skip to 30 minutes, 30 minutes in. Like, yeah, right here. It looks really nice.
The animation is beautiful.
Yeah. The opening area, maybe it's just I don't like the way the opening area was designed because I found it kind of drops you into this big-ish area. You kind of run around as it's teaching you the mechanics, and then you get to a locked door. And it says, oh, you have to find the shrines on this floating island. Well, I look around, and it's like I see one shrine. And so I try to find my way over there. This is something that a holdover from Breath of the Wild is. I find the act of playing this game, the act of moving around from getting point A to point B, really, really tedious and frustrating and boring because there's not a whole lot to do when you're running around,
Mhm,
especially early on. Uh, your stamina judges how long you can swim and how high you can climb.
mhm,
In the beginning, your stamina is so low that I can't run. Like if you watch a guy, he runs for a little bit and then stops, runs for a little bit, then slows down, runs for a little bit because he's running and then waiting for his stamina to recharge. And so just like where you can go and what you can do feels so limited by your tiny little stamina bar that it feels like it disincentivizes exploration, which is kind of what the game is supposed to be about. I'll In addition to like just kind of having trouble getting around, the controls on the Switch are really awkward. Like the way that it asks you to jump and move and just holding the Switch and trying to play a game like this felt really, really awkward. It just doesn't quite work, I think. I think they're trying to do too many things on the controller at once, especially when you start increasing the number of abilities you have. It's like, well, I'm going to hit the left trigger to bring up a menu, select a thing, execute that thing, then open the menu again, select another ability, use the ability, open the menu, use another ability. And I'm just kind of constantly fiddling with it. Um, but this open area, it's kind of empty. There's not a lot of enemies there, and so there's not a lot of chance to kind of get into a fight and be challenged. And so I found myself just spending most of my time running around the island looking for these shrines that I needed to unlock this door. And it's like I'm running around, I'm trying to climb this thing. What is it? And by the time I found all the shrines, my interest in actually unlocking that door and kind of starting the main game was so low that I just quit and started playing something else. I still find, even though I talk about how I wanted there to be more combat, the combat, which is what I like in games. I'm a big Souls fan. I like tough combat. The combat in this game just sucks. It doesn't handle fighting well. Link cannot move for the life of him. When you do a backflip, he does like this huge flip where he jumps 3 times his height and does a backflip. When you dodge to the left or right, it's just this little tiny hop. And overall, he just doesn't feel maneuverable enough to take on some of these enemies. Coupled with the fact that the weapon degradation system is still there. And so, hey, I've got a shield.
really?
That's really handy. This shield is really useful. Oh shit, this shield broke and now I don't have it. And now I have to rely on dodging these enemies with Link's wimpy ass little jumps. Oh, I found this really cool sword, but I don't want to use it because it'll break. Like the whole system of weapon degradation feels like it's disincentivizing me from actually using the cool weapons I get.
Mhm.
And part of this is also me. Like I said, I'm kind of a hoarder in games. You have the ability to fuse one item to another to kind of make it stronger. So if I kill an enemy with a horn, I could take that horn, stick it onto my sword to kind of make a longer, more damaging weapon. But I'm like, this sword is going to break in 2 minutes. This horn, I've only got like 10 of these horns. Do I really want to put a horn on a sword that's going to break in 10 minutes, or do I want
Right,
to save it for something else? And
right.
the answer is just fucking do it. But my instinct is no, I want to save this stuff and actually use it when it feels important because it's all so limited. Like everything of, like I said, crafting is so huge in this game. Not just for, you have to craft health, you have to craft things that have to do with weather, you craft things that can help you with stamina, you craft weapons, like you craft all of the equipment that you would normally get as loot in another game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like crafting that much. I don't
It is saying a lot that I'm really having a hard time finding like any combat here. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm like 8 hours into this game and I'm still I mean, yeah, I'm having to scroll through, but I'm not finding a lot of combat.
And that's because, like, that's not the central part of the game. Like, it's kind of an adventure game that's meant to be. You're meant to explore this world, but like I said, moving through the world with your low stamina bar, with a world that doesn't really feel. Uh, so many people praise the Zelda games, these past two Zelda games, for creating open worlds that have like really good sight lines. So what that means is you climb up a hill, and that gives you sight of, 3 or 4 interesting things, and then you go to one of those interesting things, and that gives you sight line to something else. And that the games are really good about kind of using the geography of the world, of constructing the world in a way that kind of leads you from one interesting point to another. I don't find that to be the case. I'll be standing on a hill looking around, and I'll go, okay, I see a shrine over there, and I see ruins, ruins, and ruins. But I've been to enough ruins at this point that I know there's nothing interesting in them, so I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though I can see an object, even though I can see a structure in the distance, I don't think the game does enough to reward my exploration of those random structures to make me care when I see them. Like so much, there was one moment very, very early on where there was like a little floating island, and I had to use the ultra hand ability, which kind of
Mhm.
lets you combine 2 items together.
Right.
So I just did that with a whole bunch of logs to make a bridge to get to this floating island. Got to the floating island, there was a chest there. I thought, ooh, what's in the chest? Open it up, and it's like a ruby or something. And in the item description, it says it's a cosmetic thing that you can put on the various things you make. So if I make a raft, I can put this little ruby on there as a cosmetic change. And I thought, I don't give a shit about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I'm never going to use this cosmetic crafting thing ever. Unless the game forces me to, but at some point, I will never use this. And so when that is how the game rewards you, when it rewards exploration with an item that I know I will never use, that really, really disincentivizes any future exploration. And
Mhm.
so for me, it just kind of ended up being this downward spiral of, okay, I'm going to try to approach the game on its terms. I'm going to try to find interesting things to do. What it offers, what it provides as an answer to what I'm looking for is not what I'm looking for. And so slowly I kind of start realizing, okay, everything this game is going to use to reward me, I don't see as a reward. And so that prevents me from wanting to engage with it, from wanting to explore, from wanting to do the shrines, from wanting to do anything. And at that point, it's like, why do I keep playing? And so, like I said, it's not a bad game. I can see why other people like it. But so much of what it relies on, the way that it doles out rewards, its emphasis on crafting, its like really awkward combat. I get why some people would like it, but none of it works for me.
Right.
None of it works in the slightest. And so, yeah, I played it enough for free to realize that, like, yeah, no, this is still not for me.
Yeah. Well, if it's for you, it's for you. And it's going to be interesting to watch it like take all of the awards at the Game
It
Awards
won't.
because it will.
No, it won't.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, You're the first person I've ever heard that says, I don't like that game. It's terrible. For me.
True. But I still think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to eat its lunch.
Really? Is that, hey, did you write down what we thought was going to win?
I have it right here on my sticky note that I put on the computer.
Do we want to revise that? Do you want to review that now that you have played?
I'm looking at Game of the Year.
Uh-huh.
I said Baldur's Gate. You said Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
I am still convinced it's going to be Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
Even though I acknowledge that my dislike of Tears of the Kingdom is more personal on me, and that other people inexplicably love that game. Like honestly, I don't understand why people like it.
But they do, and that's the thing. And that's why I'm going to stick with Tears of the Kingdom. That's why I think it's going to win, is because this is, players voted, stuff. It's not like a board of like experts.
Yes, but I think more players will vote for Baldur's Gate. And in action adventure game, I said Spider-Man, you said Zelda.
Yeah.
I still think Spider-Man. Because look, Zelda may be popular, but Spider-Man is fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is like one of the most well-known fictional characters in the world.
AC Ray says I have to watch at least a half an hour of the Game Awards on Twitch to get a Warframe drop. And Bitters is on Team Nick. Bitters believes in you. It's not that I think that those games are like Zelda deserves to win them. I think Zelda will win them. There's very, very, very different. I
think Zelda is an incredibly popular game.
Right.
I think it's a critical darling.
Yes.
But I think it's more niche than people think.
I don't know. I mean, sales figures don't lie.
No, they don't. But like sales figures, like I said, yes, the people voting for the Game Awards are fans, but it's also the people that would vote for the Game Awards. I think that attracts a specific type of person. And I do think that type of person probably likes Zelda, but I think they would vote for other things on top of it.
I don't know.
Anyways,
what do you call people that like Zelda? Zeldots? The Zeldots are the force is strong with them, and when they move as a monolithic beast, if they decide that Zelda needs to win, they're gonna vote Zelda.
We'll see. It shouldn't win because it's a terrible game in every regard. Just awful piece of shit.
Wow, that's all right. So the opinions of Nick do not represent the opinions of GameHounds, and send the hate to him.
No.
If you need it.
Here's the thing. The reason part of me is like so anti that game is because I put like 50 hours into Breath of the Wild trying to enjoy it, and I didn't. And part of me
now you're angry.
No, and part of me is still like, you know what? I'm sure there's maybe if I play Tears of the Kingdom on a bigger TV and not on the Switch screen, maybe I'll like it more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll like it. Maybe if I just do this one other thing, I'll like it. Maybe if I change how I play. Maybe if I do this. And it's like, fuck, at that point, I'm working so hard to enjoy a game that I would rather just go play something that doesn't require me to work to enjoy it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at what I paid for the speakers that I got for my computer. And it's enough that I'm thinking to myself, maybe I just want to keep them because they're Bluetooth, right? They're freaking Bluetooth speakers. I got a really good deal on them.
Good.
You should keep them.
I bet it says, could these Zelda games require being lit? No. I will tell you, no, because there's so much you have to remember mechanically. Like they are such mechanically dense games. Like I said, the controller, trying to navigate the controller. If you're lit, you're gonna be sitting there going, okay, I have a log and a log. I want to put them together. How do I do that?
How do I do that again?
It's like,
Oh,
okay,
fuck.
I gotta open the ultra hand ability. How do I do that? Hit, let that. Okay, wait, that did it. Okay, I did that. I'm gonna select ultra hand. Fuck, how do I pick something up? I'm gonna
45 minutes
pick it up.
later.
You're like, I'm gonna pick it up. Oh wait, shit. They're that way. They're supposed to be that way. They're that way. God damn it. How do I separate them? And you just be like, I've been doing this for an hour.
For my whole life.
Fuck it.
Doing it for my whole life.
I've seen the future. The future is logs.
It's me trying to put this log together for the rest of my life.
This is it. This is my hell. This is my own personal hell. What did I do to deserve this? Why am I here? I could leave this. I could leave hell and ascend. I just have to stop playing. Can I do that?
Yeah, you can. You know why? Dude, I am so hungry right now.
Honestly, you just made me want a Nintendo. Hey, look, the Switch is a wonderful platform. Like, I really enjoy the console, even if I don't enjoy Zelda. The Switch is great.
All right. So, anything else that you played that you liked?
A lot of other stuff.
Okay.
One of the things I played in Florida was this iOS game called Grand Mountain Adventure. And it's just this really chill, laid back, kind of open world skiing game. And excuse me, it reminds me of like a calmer, more chill SSX.
Mm-hmm.
The way it works is you're dropped onto a mountain peak, and each mountain peak is kind of divided into lifts. So I'm going to take a ski lift up to one area, and then from there I can do various challenges. Hey, slide through these rings, right?
This kind of looks cool.
Yeah, it's like ski through these rings, or you're going to do a race and you have to stay within the flags and beat a certain amount of time, or like do a trick and you have to get a certain amount of points, or you could just kind of slide, like explore. What's cool is if you open the map, when you look at the map carefully, they're like these little sparkling points, and all of those sparkling points represent an event, like a kind of hidden thing in the world. And so a lot of what I'm doing is kind of opening the map, saying, "Oh, there's a sparkle over there. I want to go investigate that." And then just kind of sliding, taking a lift up and then sliding down the mountain to try to get to that sparkle and figure out, is it an event? Is it a ski pass? Because ski passes are kind of what gate your progress. Like, hey, take a lift up to this one area. If you want to go to the next area, you need 10 ski passes. So do enough events to earn a ski pass, find them in the world, and once you get 10, you can take the lift up to the next like little area of the mountain. And at the point where I am, I've done everything on the first mountain, but there's like a whole bunch of other mountains in the game. There's a whole bunch of peaks. And so I beat the first peak and I want to go do the second one. And so far, it's a very chill game. Like I said, it's not super difficult, but it controls really, really well. You, you can change the camera to be either in front of you or behind you, which is nice because when you're exploring, you kind of want it to be behind you so that you can see what's up ahead. But when you're doing the race, it kind of works better to have it be in front of you because it can get a lot closer then. And so you're really just going left and right, and you're just tapping the screen left and right. But the sensitivity of your tap feels really, really good. So that when you're sliding down the mountain, if I tap very briefly on the screen, the amount that turns the character feels really, really good. And it's a weird thing to talk about. It's kind of like talking about the sensitivity of a control stick, where like there's a very specific technical term for it, and you can get very technical in how you move the dead zone around the controller, how you control the sensitivity, the horizontal sensitivity, the vertical sensitivity. And the tapping feels very similar to that, where I don't know if it's how the world is constructed in that they created a world where I don't have to take a lot of super, super sharp turns. But like the tapping it just feels really, really good. And so that coupled with a mountain peak that's kind of fun to explore, fun to slide down, just creates an iOS game that's like, hey, this kind of feels like a mini SSX game in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool.
Nice.
There was a game like this on iOS, and I think I wonder if it's still available. It was called like Yeti Mountain Adventure or Skiing Yeti Mountain. And that to this day remains like the most fun skiing game I've played on iOS. Like it just feels so good to play.
Anybody else want to look up to see what the name of that is?
Yeah, Skiing Yeti Mountain.
AC Ray says it's on Steam and Switch as well.
I don't know.
The Wonderlands version anyway of it. You looking it up?
I'm looking up the Skiing Yeti Mountain.
I'll pull it up. Let's see if I can find it. Skiing Yeti Mountain. So I have just learned something about this new computer. Is that my keyboard, my new mechanical keyboard, is very loud.
Oh yeah. From the beginning, I'm playing this Yeti Mountain game, and it's like, oh shit, that's right. I jumped into like one of the last levels.
Uh-huh.
And it's challenging, but I can see, oh yeah, that does feel pretty good to play.
So this is what Nick is playing, not live what Nick is playing, but so
yeah,
you just use your finger to kind of decide where you want it to go.
Yes,
Okay.
and the way it works is if you slide all the way over, then you go completely horizontal and you stop.
Got it.
And so it's a lot of you can control your this game, Skiing Yeti Mountain, gives you really, really tight control over your speed and your angle. And so trying to just do a smooth slalom, just try and do a smooth one of those. When you can pull it off, it feels like a really good skill challenge. Like, oh man, that was hard. I pulled it off. I'm good. I'm good at this game.
Mm-hmm. It's rewarding, in other words, when you actually manage to survive.
Yes, because like it does take skill. Like being able to get a gold medal on some of these and timing the turns and everything. Like I said, it's one of the most best feeling games I've played. It's really good.
Watching the guy, it's like, oh man, he's really struggling getting through that.
But yes, this is Skiing Yeti Mountain, not Grand Mountain Adventure.
Yes,
Grand
that's
Mountain
Skiing
Adventure
Yeti
is
Mountain.
different, but it's also a very good mobile game.
Yeah. So anything else?
And then I played a little bit of Alan Wake 2.
Mm. And
boy, that game is like kind of fucked up.
Really? Like
In
fucked up in a good way or a bad way?
Oh, very good way.
Okay.
Like so good. There's early on in the second chapter. I've only played through chapter 2. You're like going into this mystical tree that's like, okay, no, back up like 10 minutes from here. No, too far. Maybe skip ahead some. This plays great on audio. Skip up, back down. Anyway, like she
Can you hear the audio, by the way?
I cannot.
Oh, I don't have it.
But if you can find a clip of her like going into this tree, it's like you open. Oh, now I can hear the hear the audio.
Okay.
I'm
I'm en route to Witch's Ladle. I need to perform a ritual to open the overlap. This
Do you
place just keeps getting weirder. But it is exciting.
Is this forward or backward? Do we want to go from here?
forward? Do you want to keep the audio?
You said it. See, him sounds.
Oh yeah, like this. Like
Go.
oh no. I think back up some. Like as she's walking through this area, I'll maybe back up some more. It does this really cool thing with light
Nightingale.
where like this red light kind of appears out of nowhere to light up the stuff around you, and it does these really wonderful camera tricks that just like look really fucking freaky.
Who is that?
Oh yeah.
It's like they're coming in over a bad signal.
Oh, I think this might be one of the greatest transitions I've seen in a game.
Yeah. Are we wrecking this by showing it?
No, this is very early on. This is
Okay.
chapter 2 in the
Yeah.
game. But it's okay. So it begins with you playing as Saga Anderson, who's an FBI agent. And you come to Bright Falls to investigate a series of murders. And it begins with you kind of walking through, finding this body, performing an autopsy on it. And then right away, some weird shit starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
And what I kind of love is that you can see like the little flashes of red light out of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
Like just the style of what this game does with light and stuff is really, really cool. But yeah, weird stuff happens pretty quickly. And what I appreciate is that the characters, this is a cool transition. Like you're walking through a forest, and then then all of a sudden you're in like a
tunnel,
tunnel.
Like a metro tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, weird shit happens, but what I appreciate is very quickly the characters are like, this is some weird shit. This is some supernatural shit. This isn't normal. Yeah, here, could you just mute it?
Alright,
now,
yeah.
because it's just a bunch of sound effects and shotguns.
Okay. Yes.
But yeah, like very quickly they're like, okay, the dead body we had just sat up, killed someone, and walked out the room. This isn't normal. This is supernatural. Like all the rules are out the window. And so it doesn't waste any time having the characters be like, wait, what did I just see? There is no Scully in this X-Files episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's only Mulders. And it's a nice way to kind of, jump into the weird action without spending too much time, right? You have something weird happen and the characters acknowledge that's weird. Let's roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it sets up a lot of just like questions about the nature of the world. Saga is this FBI agent. She's come down here. She says that I had to leave my daughter to come take this job, right? I'm leaving my daughter for a bit. One of the people you meet in this diner is like, Saga Anderson, it's been so long. I'm surprised you came back here after your daughter drowned. And it's like, what? Who the fuck are you? Then there's the fact that your partner in this is named Alex Casey. Who just so happens to be the name of the detective in Alan Wake's story. So Alan Wake, the character in this game, is famous for writing a series of detective novels starring Alan Casey, who is also your partner. And so in a game, in a story that's all about the nature of stories and how the nature of this world is really weird and you don't really know what's real and what's not. Having your partner be named after a fictional character is like, are you real? What is going on? So like even right at the beginning, there's enough really interesting things that are like, that make you question the nature of this world. Yeah, and even then, Saga, but one of the big selling points of the game is the mind place. And so depending on when you skip around, you might see her in this room with like putting pictures up on a board. Kind of like how you do in any detective movie, right? They've got all this stuff up on the cork board.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of how you solve puzzles. That's kind of one of the main puzzles of the game is you collect clues and then you kind of figure out where on the board to put them, and that unlocks your next objective. So it's like, hey, where is this guy going? And to answer that question, you go into your mind place, you take your clues, you put them on the board, and then Saga will have a kind of deduction that says, oh, he's going to the diner. And so that then becomes your goal. But you
Mm-hmm.
have to solve it on the board.
Right.
Saga is like a really, really intuitive detective because there's a whole profiling thing too, whereas you're like, hey, I'm profile the victim, profile these witnesses. But the way it works is you select the person, you select the question, and then she asks a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the victim doing at the lake? And it sounds like she's asking herself, right? The way someone would when they're thinking out loud. This is the profiling right here. She's just asking a question. I need Nightingale's heart to get to the overlap, right? Where is it? Well, when she does that, this like fucking dark demon voice appears behind her and talks in really, really cryptic language. And then at the end of it, she's like, I know where the heart is. And so you're forced to wonder, is she deducing this in her head, or is there some sort of supernatural entity behind her like feeding her this information?
Right.
So like I said, I'm only 2 chapters in, but already there's enough really cool things that make you question the nature of the world. The visuals are really unique and freaky. It's really playing in that kind of True Detective 7 style of murder mystery, and it's doing that really, really well. And gameplay wise, I've only gotten into a couple fights. It's really, honestly, it's really more of an adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think about how I kept thinking of Monkey Island of all things while playing this game.
Really?
Because the way that game was structured is you get to an island and then you kind of explore the island, right? It's a 2D game, but you're on a screen, you click next and you go to another screen. And through
Mm-hmm.
that, you can explore the whole island.
Mm-hmm.
This is very similar where you can explore the whole town, but you want to find one item, which will get you to go over there. And then one item that will get you to go over there. And it's structured like an old school point and click adventure game, but it controls and it's presented as a 3D action survival horror game.
Mm-hmm.
But the combat feels really good. It's also really, really brutal. I fought like 2 enemies. You're very, very limited with ammo, and so it constantly feels like shit. If I don't kill this guy,
That's what I hated about Alan Wake, the very first one, is the limit on ammo. I really,
that's
really hated that.
that's what makes it. That's what makes it
I know,
tense.
and that's what
That
everybody loves. Kind of
fear.
like the reason why you hate Zelda.
Mhm.
It's like for me, being so short of ammo all the time was
I'm fighting a boss. I run out of handgun ammo, and I'm like, okay, I've got 3 shots with the shotgun. This had better kill him in 3 shots.
right.
Oh, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I shoot him once, and he's like, shit, he's still up. I shoot him again, and then he dies, and it's like, oh, hallelujah! I've got 1 shot left.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not the putting someone down. It's like, and now you're left with 1 shot. So
Mhm.
now you've got to move forward with no way to actually defend yourself, realistically.
So yes, a very cool game. I'm very excited to see where it goes and what new mysteries it presents. I want to see what's going on in this world. I want to see what's up with Alan Wake,
Mhm.
what's up with Saga and her daughter.
Right. All right. So far you're loving it.
Yes.
Do you love it as much as Baldur's Gate?
I don't know. That's tough. it's been a while since I played Baldur's Gate, right? I've taken a month off of Baldur's Gate, and I want to finish Alan Wake before.
Oh, I
going
moved
back.
on to chapter 2 of Baldur's Gate.
Okay, I
I
mean,
am I'm
you have
now in the last part of the like I had to go up on the ground because I went in the Underdark instead of going through the forest. I went in the
Mhm.
Underdark for most of the way, and now I'm up in the upper, like in
Mm.
the forest, in the cursed
Yeah, the
lands.
spooky woods.
Yes, cursed forest or whatever it is. Yeah. So I'm just getting there now, but I don't think I have far to go because I missed
Mm.
most of it because I crossed the Underdark. I'm hoping because
I
yeah,
don't think you've missed any of it. I think the Underdark and the Forest are chapter 2.
right, right. Well, I've finished up the Underdark,
Okay.
and I did hit a couple of things that I found really, really, really annoying. That I sort of blame the game
No,
for doing
you should
this.
switch it to Baldur's Gate.
I am going to switch. That's what I'm doing.
Oh,
Literally
okay.
doing right now. Baldur's Gate 3. I blame it a little bit for doing this. Is that you will keep coming across things that look like you need to be doing something. And you could, if you don't go and look through a walkthrough, you will literally spend hours and hours and hours trying all different ways to complete something or do something or get somewhere that you can see right there. It's right there. It's on the other side of this chasm, and I've got to get there. And I can't jump. I can't fly. I can't throw things over there. I'm looking for there's gotta be like a lever or something. And it does this thing that it's breaking from the convention of gameplay to the point of where you could really end up frustrating yourself like crazy because you see something. It's right there. Everything down here has been you need to find a lever, you need to jump, there's some other way around it. Climbing down, going around, figuring I spent 45 minutes trying to jump this chasm to get to a temple that they've been talking about getting to this temple the entire time I've been in the Underdark. Only to finally get frustrated, look it up to figure out how the fuck do I get past this chasm to find out you can't. You
Mm.
will in chapter 3, but not in chapter 2. You just walk away. And I wasted like many hours of trying to fiddle through this puzzle and to find out there is no solution. I do blame that from the game. There's nothing wrong with showing me something that I need to hit in the future. But when you're signaling in all ways that this is the point now where you should be going there, only to have something right there but you can't get to it with no indication, nothing from the game that says, maybe we should walk away from this.
Yeah, like to have a character say, "Oh, we'll come back later."
Yeah, like clearly this isn't, or some way to signal to you shouldn't spend a lot of time on this ledge looking over. Like I go into an area that I have fought through to get to. I have to take a bunch of potions with to let me cross this area that's completely poisoned. I get out through this big door to a ledge. There's nothing else in this ledge but a platform right there. I can't get to it. So why did you create this area with poisoned air for me to go over to be able to look at it and not be able to do anything? There's nothing here. I got nothing. There's not even a chest. There is no point to that. And you have just now made me walk through and use a bunch of resources to get to this area to look at something that I can't get to and I won't be able to get to for at least another 20 hours. Why'd you do that? So I'm a little pissed off at it about doing that. But once I did do that, then I was I went and took the elevator up to the top side, and now I'm going through the cursed forest. So, and I had a very bad fight.
Maybe
Did not go
you
well.
can, but I'm on Reddit and there's a lot of other people saying Like, where is it? But I'm seeing the temple isn't accessed via the Grimforge. Continue down the elevator and you'll get dialogue with Shadowheart further into the next area about trying to find the temple. Don't know what that
Down
means.
the elevator or up the elevator?
They said down.
What elevator down?
I don't know. I'm reading various comments out of context. The entrance is in a dungeon north of the House of Healing in Rythwin Town, which you'll find not too long after entering Act 2.
All right. Well, I guess.
Yeah, it says, turned out the entrance is in Act 2 and the Grimforge hint is just references the destroyed bridge.
Yeah.
A lot of other people with the same issue of like, I looked everywhere. Where the fuck is this?
Right. It's everything in the game has signaled that you could be able to get there. Like you're expecting to find, like maybe there's a lever over there that I can shoot. Where is it? And I'm looking and I'm moving around. I'm looking down. I'm looking up. And of course, when you're trying to like scan out and move the camera, sometimes the camera does not work that great. Sometimes the camera is really, really hard to control because it doesn't want you to look at things in a certain way, I think, or it just doesn't act that way. So you can't really get a good look of like, you want to pull out and look at this platform on the other side where this broken bridge was, and you can't quite look.
It's like, how far can I move the camera? And then I hit the limit, so I kind of spin it around.
Right. And if you want to look at it like from behind and you want to be looking up at it, but there's a wall behind you, so it won't let you go like pull back to look at it from this side. It's just very frustrating in all of it in that way. And that was the first time where after reading that, where it's like, you can't get to it, that I was like, fuck you. I spent hours trying to work through this. Yeah. Not a happy camper. But
other than
that, still loving it. In fact, that's what I'm going to do as soon as I'm off with you.
Good. And we can get into the news, but they have made a quality of life change with the recent update.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah. We'll be talking about it in a bit. So anything else before we go into that news?
No, I believe that's all I've played. Let me check the thing. Oh, that's right. I beat that one last night. That was the language puzzle game. That's just fucking like, it takes a certain person to make a puzzle game. And to make a language puzzle game like this, that's all about glyphs and interpreting glyphs and the structure of languages and like how to remember those structure of languages, how the languages reflect the different societies, and then how to interpret one to the other. It takes a special kind of person to make that. I don't know how their brain works, but I'm glad that they made this game because it's so cool. It's so cool to enter a new area and talk with a bunch of people and just be like, I don't have a goddamn clue what you're saying. I don't know. There's a symbol on this door. I don't know what it is. There's like 3 people talking. I don't know what they're saying. There's all these signs everywhere, and just like to feel completely lost, like you're complete foreign environment. And you're like, I have no idea what anything is.
God, and then the artwork is so cool.
Oh, the artwork is cool, and like each of the different levels of the tower that you're ascending are very, very different. This area is very different from the one before it, and very different from the one after. But like you'll be really confused, and then you'll find one sign, and you'll be like, oh, here's man, person, humanity in one language, and here it is in another language. And then you're like, okay, I've got this. And then you kind of start realizing, oh, this symbol is you. This symbol is me. Now from there, you can start piecing together much more things. It's like, oh, this symbol always comes first. Maybe that's a greeting. Maybe that's hello. And it does such a good job of making that complete foreign and unknown feeling to slowly replace that with, knowledge, to slowly come to understand what is going on here. What is the society? What are they talking about? It feels so satisfying when you have that breakthrough of I understand this language.
Mhm.
It feels so good. Yeah, and like I said, the game itself is really, really smart about how it facilitates that. Uh, when you find a new glyph, you'll kind of write it down in your notebook, and it'll just be there. But you can select that glyph, and using the PlayStation's or the console keyboard, you can input what you think it is. So
Mhm.
if you go to the menu and you're like, I think this symbol means happy, you can kind of write that in there, and it has a temporary answer. And so then when you start talking with people or you start looking at signs, it will replace that glyph with your interpretation. So if you see like glyph, 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 unknown glyph, it'll be you because that's what I know, happy because that's what I think it is, me. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, is he saying I make him happy? Is that what's going on here? So you can kind of see, oh, you happy, me. It's like, okay, now I can kind of figure out what he's talking about. Um, but then after you collect enough symbols, it brings up this page where you can like solidify your guesses, and it will give you three or four pictures, and it's like a happy face, a frowny face, someone pointing at themselves, someone pointing off in that direction, and then you can choose, oh, that's happy, that's sad, that's you, that's
Mhm.
me. And
Right.
if you get them right, then that locks in the answer and like permanently gives you the correct interpretation going forward. So it's a game that's all about interpretation, but like once you get that right, it's not going to force you to like play through the game with a wrong word, right?
Right.
You're not going to get several hours in and then realize, oh shit, this word doesn't mean what I think it does. I need to completely rethink what I'm doing.
Mhm.
It helps that each level of the tower has its own different language. So you're constantly like resetting. You're constantly learning a different language. You're kind of constantly going through this process of being unfamiliar with everything and then slowly puzzling out how everything is structured. And it just does that so well. And when you get into the late game, one of the optional challenges is interpreting text messages basically between two people. And this right here in the video is an example of the like authorization, the certification of it, where I this is a windmill, this is a theater. I'm going to put these here and the game is going to tell me yes, you are correct.
Mhm.
Um Oh, but yeah, late in the game, when you're trying to translate between different languages, a character will say something in one language, and you then have to repeat that in a different language. And so that requires you to realize how are these languages structured? Because if you take a moment and like pause the video, or like if you can get him to talk, bring up his word bubble again and pause it. No, no,
Oh.
no, the previous word bubble. Because one of the things you realize as you're going is that each language has a very, very different structure. Some people pluralize words by having the word and then a symbol that means pluralization coming after it. So you've got man, plural, and that means men. Others have the pluralization before. And so you have to remember, shit, which language had it in front and which language had it after. And then some languages, like this one, have not being a container. And I think, like, in Spanish, when you have an exclamation mark, they have like an exclamation mark at the end and an
Mhm.
upside down exclamation mark at the beginning of the sentence.
Right.
Some languages have something like that, where uh, a facet of language that augments the sentence, right?
Mhm.
Not might put something on either side. So it's like, well, what are these two dots on the side? Oh, they mean not. You're making a statement, then surrounding it by
Negating it.
not, which is negating it. It's like, I understand this. And when you get to trying to interpret one language to another, you have to remember how all these different languages are structured. Some people might say, I go to the theater. Other people might say, to the theater I go.
Mhm.
Others might say, I theater go. And it's like, Jesus, trying to keep all this in mind at the same time. It's Rachel was watching me play it, and she made a joke that if Duolingo gamified itself like this, I'd be fluent in Spanish by now. And she's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, if you can make a game like this with actual language, you might have something there. That could be really fucking cool.
That's awesome. So you finished it. Do you feel fluent in all of these languages now?
I do. And I will say the ending is actually really, really good. At the risk of like spoiling too much. Each society in this tower has a thing that they kind of built the society around, a thing that they worship. For the religious level, it's God. For the warriors, it's duty. For the artist class, it's
Mhm.
beauty, right? Each of them have this one thing that they value above all else.
Right.
When you get to the very end, there's like two endings. There's a default ending and then a secret ending. When you get to the secret ending and you do everything you can, you basically spend the game building out this symbol. You're kind of building this 3D model. And at the end, it takes that model and kind of twists it around. And depending on how it lands, it's like, oh, that's the symbol for God. That's the symbol for duty. That's the symbol for beauty. And it's like, oh, each of these societies is kind of worshiping different facets of the same object. And it's like, oh, that's really fucking cool.
That's neat.
It's really cool, just in like a practical like, oh hey, you made this one symbol into 5 symbols, but also like from a thematic perspective of like you're all kind of valuing the same thing, right? It's one language, one word for that important thing that your society is built around. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all kind of the same thing.
Mhm.
Beauty, God, duty, like they're all the same.
They're all different facets of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So,
Really
yeah,
fucking cool.
I'm
Although
really thinking of playing that.
it's really great. I will say the one thing I'm disappointed at is that I have no fucking clue what Sonar is. I don't know if Sonar is the name of the tower. I don't know if that's the name of the word.
You might want to. Do you want to get an? Do you want to see if I can get the developer for an interview and ask him what is Sonar?
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
you sound like you're way interested in seeing what this developer, where what makes this person tick. How did they come
Oh,
up with this? Because
it's
this is not
yeah.
your typical like, okay, I made a game about shooting things, or I made an adventure about
Oh
a
yeah,
story.
yeah.
This is like something completely unique, a bit like Pentiment was. That
Mhm.
where did the inspiration come from this? But even more so because the Pentiment is essentially a very interesting way to do something that we've done a lot. This is doing something completely different than anything you've played before. We'll see if I can get an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very cool game. Highly
Alright.
highly recommended.
All right, cool.
Top high on my top 10 of
Top
the
tier
year.
list? Top tier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely in the top tier.
All right. Well, are we ready to hit the news?
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Let's hit the news. Hold on a second. And let's hit the news. This gaming, beauty, and Nicola. And our first item is
Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
you start. You probably have more.
Okay.
Do you have more items? I don't actually know. I could probably look and find that out.
Well,
There's Nick items. Yeah, you have more items than I do.
I will start with Jeff Keighley has weighed in on the indie game controversy for the Game Awards. We talked about this a bit a couple weeks ago. The controversy is basically that Dave the Diver was nominated for Best Indie Game. Dave the Diver comes from like a huge publisher, Nexon.
Right.
And so a lot of people are like, hey, wait a minute, why is
It's
this game
not
in the
really.
indie
I mean,
game?
it's an indie game made by a big publisher. So what
But
is an indie game?
and
Is it
that's
the publisher or the
basically
game?
what Jeff Keighley said. Someone asked him about it in like an interview or like an AMA. I forget the exact context, but I have his quote here, and it's really good because he actually brings up a good point. He said, yeah, the game is made by a group named Mint Rocket. So it's a smaller game from a smaller group, but Mint Rocket is part of Nexon. They're employees of Nexon, which is a very large publisher. You can argue it either way. It's independent in spirit in that it's a small game with a relatively small budget, but it's from a larger entity, whereas there are other games on that list from much smaller studios. Even like Dredge or something, I think is published by Team 17. So is that an independent game or not because you have a publisher? It's really complicated to figure out. We let people use their best judgment. And he ends by saying, Dave the Diver was on that list because out of all the independent games the jury looked at, or what they thought were independent games, that was one of the top 5 that they looked at this year. So yeah, it's a good question. And yeah, he brings up a good point that other games on that list they have publishers. Does indie mean you don't have a publisher? Does it have to do with the size of the publisher? Does it have to do with I think they were talking about how if you take a game and you mean indie to mean independently financed and independently published, there's only one game on that list that fits all that criteria.
Right. Well, it almost seems
yeah,
like they
like
might need
one of
a different, like there's, man,
he also mentions how Journey was nominated for Best Independent Game during the 2020 awards.
yeah,
But that's tied to Annapurna and PlayStation.
right.
He talks about how
Right.
Death Stranding is considered an independent game because it
Is
comes
it
from
really?
Kojima, but it was funded by Sony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't consider that game independent.
He said some people do because it doesn't come from one of the major studios.
Yeah.
Right? Sony might have funded it, but it's like it's a first party, it's like a second party game, right? That's what they're
Mhm.
called.
Right. Yeah, I think that the term indie game needs to have a different name because to me, indie game means it's made by an independent developer, not owned by someone else. This is how they put it, bootstrapping it together, getting people to invest in it, crowdfunding it, whatever it is, and it is becomes popular by word of mouth. Or it gets published by a big publisher, but not because that they're like the employees are not employed by a big company. Like they are independent employees of a very, 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 very small company. I think that this is something that is not a triple A game, but I don't think it's an indie game the way that the definition should be. Either truly indie games need to have a new definition or a new term and then leave this called indie, or there needs to be a different term that means it is a small scale game made by employees of a large company. There's two different things, and I really think that they should be competing separately from each other.
But then where do you categorize a small game that gets picked up by a big publisher?
That's right. A small game made by a small company that is not owned by a large company, and they get picked up by a large developer or a large publisher. That's an indie game.
But is that different from a game that is
a small
funded,
division of
that
a
is-
large company?
or is
Yeah.
what about
Yes.
a small game that is funded by a large publisher, right? An independent developer goes to a large publisher and pitches their game and they get funding for it versus a game that was completely funded by the studio itself.
I think that
Where do those
counts. I think it ultimately comes down of who brought these people together. Because part of what makes a small game, I'm not calling it an indie game, but a small game really, really, really good, especially when it's doing something really unique and doing it in a very polished way, is the fact that the whoever had this idea brought together the right talented people to do the job. It is very much easier to get the right talented people together when it is a company that is a division, a small division of a Conhugeco, because they've got Conhugeco behind them. They're working for a small division of Nexon, which means that somebody's going to be taking that job because it's a small division of Nexon. That's like saying it's a small division of Google. You're going to take the job because technically you work for Google, and it opens up opportunities for you within Google. When you have a truly independent small development game, the reason why people take this game is because of the power of the person that is running the company and their vision and being able to convey that vision, and also that these people are working at a game that this is going to be their calling card, or it's going to make this studio huge, like a big studio. So it's kind of apples and oranges, I think.
Mm,
The act of actually
I don't
bringing the
know.
team together in a way is part of the challenge of making an independent game.
So you think the history of the studio is how
The
you
ownership,
define an indie game?
the ownership of the studio, the affiliation of the studio.
Okay.
Like Fable. By that definition, Fable is an independent, but when it was before it was purchased by Xbox, actually, even after it was purchased by Xbox, by that definition,
No.
Fable would be an independent game.
Fable would have been an independent game, but Fable 2 would not be because at that point they were owned by Microsoft.
Well,
If the ownership
Nexon
of the
owns this
studio,
company, and
yeah,
Nexon owns this company.
but that's what I'm saying. If the ownership determines indie game,
Yes.
then that means like Fable 1 pre Microsoft purchase could be an indie game.
Exactly.
Fable 2 is
Fable
not.
2 wasn't Fable 2 wasn't Fable what 2 wasn't an indie game. It was owned by Xbox, made by Xbox, by a company that they own, that happened to be a small team. This is a small team of a large company, and I don't think. And I'm not saying
I think Fable falls into that category too. I don't think Fable was an indie game. I think it was an Xbox published game.
Probably. Well, it depends. It's not about the publisher. It's about who owns the developer.
I think they owned. Well,
did they own Lionhead at that point?
Well, then by that argument, Death Stranding is a indie game because Kojima Productions isn't owned by studio, even if they make a game that was completely funded by Sony. Is Death Stranding an indie game because it was completely funded by Sony, but Kojima Productions is not owned by them? So is that
a good question? That is a good question. Is it if it's actually on somebody else's dime? I think it has to be a combination of things. I think that there has to be like a budget limit.
Is there? So then
if you have a company that's 600 people, the question is Kojima Studios an independent studio?
I mean, by definition, yes, it is.
It is an independent studio, but is it a small studio?
What about Larian?
That's what I'm saying about...
Is Baldur's Gate an indie game? It's got a high budget, but it wasn't published by one of the major publishers.
Right.
It was funded.
That's why I'm saying that there needs to be
self-published, but it has a huge
nuance.
budget.
They need to be nuanced, and that can't. It shouldn't be named indie game. It's a combination of the nomenclature, which we are taking nomenclature from a bygone era that no longer exists.
Yes, that's kind of true.
And we have plastered it. We're trying to hold to the idea of what that definition is based on the bygone era of the definition of that word that no longer really applies to what we're talking about. There's big studio AAA games. There's big studio small games. There are big studio, medium studio small games, and there are small studio small games. And
Mhm.
there are small studio big games.
Yeah.
So they're kind of all different things. And to think that you would have something like was it Chance of Sonar
Hmm.
competing against Baldur's Gate, that's a little like that there's something wrong with the definition. There's something wrong with the categories.
I mean, yes and no, because I think both those games might, if you go self-funded, self-published, studio not owned, I think both of those games fall into that category.
Right. And that's why I'm saying that is to put them in that same category isn't a good fit. Those are very much looking at those games, apples and oranges. There has to be there kind of needs to be a fourth pillar, and that is budget.
And I do think that's what you see in the Game Awards. Because even though Dave the Diver, that kind of started all this, it comes from a big publisher, uh, it was made with a relatively small budget. And I think
Mhm.
indie game is it's one of those things like it doesn't have a strict definition, but you kind of go by feel. Does this feel like an indie game?
Mhm.
And I think that's why Baldur's Gate wasn't nominated in Best Indie Game and Dave the Diver was, because Dave the Diver fits what we think about when we think about indie game. It implies a certain size of the game, it
Right.
implies a certain
Right.
scope of the game
Right.
more than it
There's no
does.
better category for it to go into. That being said, I think that there needs to be another term that we now use for indie games, because that's not an indie game. It is an indie game. The game is an indie game, but the environment around that game is not indie. So you kind of need another word for it.
Yeah, well, it
We're
gets
using
awkward
an archaic
because
word based on something that doesn't exist anymore,
yes,
or
because
that's not a bright line.
yeah, because I think the controversy stems from the fact that Dave the Diver doesn't fit the strict definition of indie game, but no one who talks about indie games goes by that strict definition of indie game.
Right.
Dave the Diver fits what we think about as indie games,
Right.
even if it doesn't adhere to like the letter of law. If it's the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law.
Right. Right. And that's why we need to retire the phrase indie games for something else.
I think I've
And
heard people
not AAA.
say,
And that's the problem with naming AAA games AAA games, because there's no something, what do you call them? B games?
I mean, it
Double A
was
games? Single
speaking.
A games?
I've
Small
I've
games?
heard people refer to it as like triple indie or something like that.
Yeah. We've just got to get rid of indie, because indie by definition is not what this is. By definition of the word independent, this isn't what it is. It's what years ago, independent games were independent. Now independent games are not necessarily independent. They're B games.
I was just Googling like AAA indie games to kind of see if there's a term for it. And there was a question on like Reddit. Someone brings up Star Citizen, which by definition is a $300 million indie game.
Yes. Case in point. So yeah, the game development landscape has gotten so much more complicated than what it was when it was broken down into AAA, big studio, and indie. That there's way more nuance between that now, and it kind of either we need to create other terms to fit, to kind of cover those gray areas, or we really need to change the name of indie games, and it's not indie games anymore. It's really about the game, it's not about the developer. And
Yes.
independent really refers to the development slash distribution of the game.
Yeah.
It's just it's a bad term that didn't grow with the industry. It needs to be changed. That's the problem. We just don't have a better game name for it, and we need one. There are plenty of low budget small developers going broke.
Yeah, he said before that AC Wraith says, I think part of the problem is there are games that fit the definition, but nobody talks about them, and the category no longer serves as promotion.
Exactly. They're being left out because of the God, we got to come up with some other word for really not independent games, small games. Small games. Small games are different than independent games, but because we don't have a small games category, they're lumped in with independent. Meanwhile, these truly independent publishers, their games never see the light of day. I mean,
We'll call
they
them
do, but they
itch.
don't.
We'll call them itch games because they all come out on itch.io.
Yeah, itch games.
The itch game.
The itchios.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should have our own like award ceremony, call them the itchios.
But then you'd have to play a whole bunch of itch.io games to
That's not a bad
give
thing.
them. No, it's not bad. It's just that there's a fuck ton.
I know.
Okay, you do that. I'll play Alan Wake.
Baldur's Gate. All right. Well,
I'm still supporting. I mean, look, Alan fucking Wake. Alan fucking Wake is an indie game. Remedy is like its own studio. It's not funded by Xbox or Sony.
That's what I mean. It's
the definition, right?
Right. It's because AAA games really refers to the AAA, and the word independent really refers to the developer and distributor of the game, a producer of the game. Then it's just terrible. It's a terrible term. It's a terrible phrase that needs to change so that we don't have this problem.
The thing is, what comes from is movies, right? And an indie movie is generally one that was made outside the Hollywood studio system. Now, that can mean various things. Usually it means like there's like 5 big publishers of movies, and an indie movie is kind of anything that goes outside of those. Like an A24 is kind of an indie movie. A Bleecker Street is an indie movie because they weren't made by the big 5 Hollywood studios.
Right.
There used to be like game studios like that, but then everything kind of broke up, and now there's game studios of countless sizes, like all across the spectrum. And so when you say indie, you're not referring to, oh, these games aren't published by EA. Well, there's 8 million games that aren't published by EA. So how do you categorize all those?
Right. It's a bit like, boxing. Boxing, they have like different weight classes, right? And it's weight
classes.
You fall into a weight class, and it's based entirely on your weight. Whereas in gaming, it's a mixed metaphor, is that one type of game is based on your weight and the other type of game is based on what city you came from. It's like, no, they're not the same thing.
We should, you know what? I was about to say we should do it by price point. By like, oh, here's the $20 games, here's the $40 games. But then what do you do about all those, Activision, EA produced free-to-play games?
Right. The landscape is way more complicated that you to have like AAA games and then everything else is indie.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Not the same thing. All right. So, my first item is, okay, yeah, let's talk about it. Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
Huge patch. If you are struggling with the cost, or I'm sorry, struggling with the size of Baldur's Gate on your hard drive, you're going to have even more problems now. The most recent patch is 30 gigs. Yeah, 30 gigs.
But you know what? It improves inventory management.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
I'm fucking 6 months away from an epilogue. Oh, it adds an epilogue to the game. Yay. I'll talk about that in 2025.
A custom mode.
Custom mode. I'm never going to replay this game. If I replay this game, it's going to be 10 years from now.
The honor mode.
What
Which
I'm excited
increases the
about,
difficulty and
what
yeah.
I'm excited about is that it adds the ability to you get control of people's inventory that aren't in your active party.
Oh,
So
nice.
when you go to camp, you don't have to go, hey, bye Shadowheart,
Right.
bye Karlak, bye Lizelle. Now, hey, Gail, come with me.
Astarion,
Will, come with
Gale.
me.
That's
Astarion,
right.
come
Okay,
with
now
me.
I can take
Now
stuff
I
out
can.
of your inventory.
Oh
Okay,
my
bye,
God.
Gale. Bye,
Yes.
bye Lizelle. Bye. Hi, Shadowheart. Hi, Will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come with me. Here's a sword. Fuck off. It's so like I
Yeah.
love the game. That aspect of it was so annoying. And
Agreed.
so the
Agreed.
ability to manage inventory of people that aren't your
Oh
active
God.
party
And when
is
you've been
huge.
sending a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of trash stuff, especially like weapons and equipment, into your chest or put it onto somebody else that can carry the weight.
Mhm.
And then they're no longer in your party, and then you eventually get to a merchant that you need to sell all that stuff, and the fact
Oh,
that you have to
yeah.
go back, and then you have to pull everything out of your inventory. It's like, "Oh, yes, take, don't take, don't take. Okay, too much weight. All right. Leave. And you're loading up all of your people with all of this stuff. And you can't get to it until you go back to the camp and then come back. Going to the camp merchant dance has been, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a hell of a lot easier with this game than any other game I played of this level. But it's still kind of a pain in the ass that you're, like constantly having to go back to camp, load up, come back. All right, back to camp. All right, now I got to get something off of, I have to have people leave my party so I can gain people in the party so I can take things out of their inventory so I can leave them so I can put the other person back so then I can go back and I can sell it. The struggle is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now it's a
And I
little
love the
easier.
fact that they fixed that they haven't penalized you for picking up stuff. They haven't penalized you for
Yes.
wanting to sell that stuff. It's they have if you pick up a bunch of stuff, you can send it to your storage box from anywhere. You don't have to go back to camp to go. It's there. Yeah, just so fucking civilized. Everything that they do with that game, it's like they love us. Larian is very rapidly, just by this game, very rapidly gaining enough good,
Oh, yeah.
good, like feel good from the good support, good karma from the gaming community that they could easily, dare I say, become the next CD Projekt Red. Where if they keep doing the things that we want them to do and we love for them to do, and they're doing it quickly and doing it well, and they're not being dicks, that their next game, oh God, their next game.
I mean,
They've got a problem with their next game.
I think they've said our next game is not going to be as big as Baldur's Gate.
No,
Baldur's Gate took like 6 years to make.
Yeah, and they can't possibly follow this up. They're
But
going to put themselves in a not CD Projekt Red, a Cyberpunk 2077 situation where if
here's
they
the
try
thing.
to go farther, they're going to get fucked.
I don't think they'll be the next CD Projekt Red. They already are the next BioWare.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yep. You're not wrong.
I think one of the reasons Baldur's Gate blew up is because it
BioWare
feels like a BioWare game. Yeah,
Yeah.
BioWare has like left everyone. There's a video I forget the YouTube, but it had like Danny O'Dwyer, who's done a lot of behind the scenes game stuff, and he
Right.
made a point of like this game blew up because a lot of starved BioWare fans found it and are like, "This is what we've been waiting for.
Right.
This is what we've wanted."
Right. Exactly. BioWare essentially walked away from their core market and let somebody else make their next game for them.
Yeah.
And allowed somebody to eat their lunch.
Which is really ironic when you realize that BioWare made Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the next BioWare. And as long as they keep doing solid stuff like this, even if the next one is not nearly as big, as long as I mean, when you look at like Dragon Age Origins, I will always call it that. Dragon Age Origins, when you look at that, it wasn't that very big a game. It really wasn't. It was big, but it wasn't like big, not by our standards anymore.
I guess, yeah, not by our standards anymore.
It was big for their standards, but it still wasn't like really like epically big, like insanely big. It was big enough, but it was really about the story. It was really about the story.
AC Wraith coming in. This is the video I was talking about with that Danny O'Dwyer was. A16Z Games is the name of the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, AC Wraith, that was the one. I can't believe you found that. Yeah, that's why I couldn't remember. A16Z? Oh, maybe it means like A to Z and like 16 for some reason in the middle.
Don't know.
But yes.
All right. So yeah, this update, this massive patch does obviously makes a bunch of quality of life changes, the inventory being one of them, but it's called patch 5 officially. It's going to have now it added a playable epilogue at the end of the game, which gets together. Essentially, Withers is going to hold a get together of all of the characters about 6 months after the events of the game, where you're going to get to say final goodbyes to everybody. It adds, which in that epilogue, there is 3,589 lines of new dialogue. And there are also now 2 new game modes. Custom mode and honor mode. Custom mode will allow you to make customizations to how you want to play. That includes things like short rests, fully healing the party instead of partially healing. You can disable death saving throws. You can even hide the failed perception checks. So if you miss a perception check, it doesn't say you missed a perception
You don't even
check.
know that you missed.
You don't even know you missed it. Yeah, you can make those decisions. Honor mode is a super hard difficulty. It increases the difficulty, and it features a legendary action system, which changes enemy actions during the battle. And inspiration points in this new mode are going to be critical, because one of the things that honor mode disables is save scumming. So if you miss a save, one of the things I love about it is you can literally save the game right in the middle of a dialogue. When you see something happening, you can actually just save it right there. It gets rid of that. So yeah, your inspirations are really going to matter, because if you mess up, you're going to either have to live with it, or you're going to have to use inspiration to.
I think I read too that it's a permadeath mode. So if you die, you're not coming back. That's it. Your game's over.
Man, never going to play that game. Never going to play honor mode.
No.
So yeah. Yeah, so and that the thing about the custom mode that many people are saying is that what it does is it makes it much more like playing D&D.
Yeah, you can kind of homebrew some options.
Right. It's essentially creating a homebrew. So yeah, there's that. And I'm kind of all there for it. Give me more for free. Because if you think about it, that whole epilogue, any other company would have charged you as the DLC.
Oh, yeah, DLC. I mean, didn't BioWare do that exact thing with Mass Effect 3? The Citadel DLC?
They did that. They did that with Fallout.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Where they quote unquote fucked up the ending, and though they went back and they made a new ending for you that you had to buy. Yeah, they really like doing that. These guys, they didn't do it. They didn't rewrite the ending. They just added something at the end to give it that final feel, which is great. So yeah, reading that just makes me want to go turn on my PlayStation and load it up. All right, your next item.
Well, speaking, I can segue into either CD Projekt or Bethesda. Okay, so I feel like this is a full circle moment for Cyberpunk 2077 because when that game first came out and people were like going over how unfinished it feels, one of the first big videos that I remember seeing was someone going, look at all of these metro stations that are across the city, and there's not a single working train. There's not a train that moves. There's not a train you can ride, and yet they put all these places in the game. And like that was just a sticking point that a lot of people latched onto to say, hey, look, this game feels really unfinished because here's a section of the game that is so obviously missing. Now, CD Projekt Red has finally added working metro system to the game so that now you can ride a train.
You can actually take the train.
You can actually take the train, and I just feel like it's something that has to be called out because, like I said, it's a full circle moment for. Now I feel like, you know what? Maybe I should play that game because now it feels like it's finally finished.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
I'm gonna.
There's the train system. So you can actually take a morning ride around the city. What is the name of the city in Cyberpunk?
I forget.
I don't think I even knew. One of these days we got to play that game.
I was actually looking at it at Black Friday sale, and what I think is kind of funny is there's a bundle with selling Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty for $60. They basically, with the release of Phantom Liberty, by bundling it with the main game, they basically released the game.
Yeah.
As it was supposed to be. They're like, okay,
Mia.
here's the actual full game.
Yeah. All right. So,
Oh, Bitter
else?
said Night City.
Night City. Thank you. Psychonauts 2 was released finished, and neither of you have played that yet, have you? Did I think
There's a
I
ton of
did.
games that release
I
finished
did
that I
play
don't play.
Psychonauts 2.
I haven't.
I didn't complete it, but I played it.
I still never finished Psychonauts 1.
Oh, it's a great city. Great city. Great game. Great game.
Yeah,
Really
so
should.
I hear.
You really should.
So I hear.
All right. My next item is one of the games that I really liked, but then was chased away from by an incredibly toxic community was Sea of Thieves. And there's good news this week that Sea of Thieves, they're going to get private servers, what they're calling Safe Seas mode. And that's happening next week on December 7th, the day that will live in infamy. The private servers are allow you to essentially be able to play without having to worry about a 7-year-old coming in and fucking up your shit because they've been playing it since they were 5 and you started playing it yesterday. Safe Seas will be going to be available on Thursday, and players are going to be able to form crews up to 4 players as you normally would in the game. But all the PvE content is still available, but the PvP is something you can choose to do or not. Now, the game's main mode, which does have the PvP, is being renamed High Seas, and the private server mode is being named Safe Seas. And there's a bunch of differences about what achievements you can get and what is available between the two, and I won't go into all the details. You can probably find it out by going to the Sea of Thieves website. But honestly, I freaking love the idea that you and I and maybe a couple of other people can get together and we can, roam the seas without having to worry about some little fucker coming in and fucking up our shit because we're just learning the game. And that makes me happy because I really liked Sea of Thieves. I was okay with it, because I was anticipating that there would be a Skull and Bones shortly afterwards. That did not happen, clearly. And now it's like really at that point it was all about like, we were saying pirates are the new Nazis or pirates are the new zombies.
They were. I don't
They
think they are
were.
anymore.
They aren't anymore, but they were. And the idea that I can actually now get my pirate thing going, and not have to worry about, essentially someone coming in and trolling me and killing me repeatedly. I like that. I like that I can actually discover this game in relative peace.
You can party like it's 2018.
I can party like it's 1818. Was it health first is good management?
Oh yeah, Chunderbox says that
I'm late to the party again. I've had the doctor's appointment for the last 2 weeks, and now when the streams are on, bad management on my part. Oh, really? I hope
Yeah.
you're okay.
Health is good management.
Health is good management. Yeah, your health is managed. We're gonna be here for the next.
I need to get my priorities right with GameHounds at the top of that list. You know what?
Aw,
As
good
it should
man.
be. As it should be. You got your priorities straight,
No,
man. We appreciate that.
You're here for episode 699. We're gonna be here for 799 and 899.
As your Helsing, don't be the voice of reason and say health first, everything else second.
No, he's wrong. You're wrong. Don't listen to Nick. Nick's
Don't be the
lying.
voice
He's
of
a
reason.
bad person. Bad person. Yeah, I am going to make this. Okay, yeah, I know. AC Wraith, get out your pencil.
What?
I'm gonna make a promise. And I'm afraid to make this promise because you know me, as soon as you make a promise, then of course you're going to break it.
It's not a promise.
Barring, well, I mean, that's when like it's easy, and then when you make that promise, then it becomes hard. Barring like some really significant life change like death, I promise you I will be here for episode 1000.
Okay.
And I really hope that you're here too, Nick. That would break my heart if you weren't, but
I see no reason not to.
neither do I. But again, like I said, life sometimes happens, but barring death, I will be here, or dementia, or something that would really truly keep me away from here. I'm going to be here for episode 1000.
Shepard will be here to host.
I would
GameHounds.
really like to at some point be the longest lasting podcast in internet history. We're on tap for it. I mean, we're not. We're
What is
one
the
of the
longest running one?
longest. I don't know what the longest running one
No,
is.
I know there was someone who did. He's on Giant Bomb. Jeff Baccalar. He did a show called like the 404, or he did some show that was like a daily show, and I think he ended up doing like 1,500 episodes of it.
Oldest still running podcast is Open Source, and its accompanying podcast Open Source, which is not to be confused with Adam Curry's Daily Source Code, which was also one of the first podcasts, is now the oldest still running podcast.
What's the episode count?
I don't know. Let's take a look. Podcasting histories. The numbers don't lie. Now, this was done in 2021. No, I'm not going to give you money. This is just going to looks like it's a podcast. How many episodes? Well, let's see. What's it called again? It is called.
Okay.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, the 404 show that Jeff Baccalar did on CNET ran for at least 1,500
episodes. But how many years?
Oh, I don't know. This is one.
See, 1,500 episodes. That's a daily show. That's nowhere near.
Yeah, 1,300.
1,300
it looks like.
Yeah, that's the number of episodes. I'm talking about years. How many years has a podcast been going? All right. Some of the longest running podcasts. Where are they now? I'm reading this out of the Rephonic blog. Founded in 2005. Oh, tips for travelers. Oh, interesting. Gary Bembridge. I've watched him. First ever episode from Sydney, Australia, and he's been going for 17 years. So he's 3 years older than we are.
Okay.
NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, founded in 2006. So that's 2 years older than us. Brit and Yankee Craft Beer podcast.
Chunderbox says I've derailed the show again.
Yes, you have. Well done, sir. TED Talks Daily has been going since 2007. So that was only 1 year or less older than us. I Hear of Sherlock Everywhere. They started the blog in 2005. 2007, they joined podcast. So that was less than a year before us. Fresh Air. We are as old as Fresh Air podcast, 2008. So this list of the longest running podcasts, where are they now? We are as old as, like, let's see. They have one. Let me let it out. Let's see. 2005, 2006, 2007, also 2007, also 2007, 2008, Free Lesson Friday, Stuff You Should Know. Yeah. And then 2009, Monster Talk, Adam Carolla Show. So we are almost dead in the middle of longest running podcasts. But nobody knows we're here. Except you four that are watching. Love you. So eventually those will all go away. And we'll still be there. So I'm going to endeavor to be the longest continuously running, because the longest running one, 2005, Gary Bembridge, he's pretty old. He's a pretty old guy. So, we'll see how long that goes. Yeah, he has a 348,000 social reach. He's got 50
I don't
patrons.
even know what that means.
It's a lot.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. It's a big number.
It's a big number. But then again, he's doing much more interesting things than we are. But we're more fun. And we look better doing it.
I have an 800,000 social.
Rails, where we going? We don't need rails. Rails, we don't need no stinking rails. And yet more movie quotes mangling.
You know what? For Black Friday, to show off my new TV, I did buy the 4K edition of Back to the Future.
Good for you.
The Back to the Future trilogy.
All right. Let's see. That was yours. What did you do? Oh, let's see. I did.
Oh, then you did Sea of Thieves. So, okay, now I will get to Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
So Bethesda seems to be taking some negative Steam reviews for Starfield very, very personally.
Really?
And have taken to responding to negative Starfield reviews on Steam. And this happens as Starfield has fallen from generally positive to mixed in the Steam rating database, which is a big deal. Like, that completely changes how the game is surfaced to users, how it's promoted. Steam is going to promote a generally positive game over a mixed game. So it does matter that the reviews have fallen to mixed category. But Bethesda is responding to this by commenting on a whole bunch of individual negative reviews, and they're not being assholes about it, right? They're too big of a developer to make that indie developer mistake of insulting people. But instead what they're doing is responding with what feels like a lot of subtly passive-aggressive responses. So where are some of these? What are some of these?
And thank you for taking the time to leave a review for Starfield. We are sorry that you do not like landing on different planets and are finding many of them empty. Some of Starfield's planets are meant to be empty by design, but that's not boring. When astronauts went to the moon, there was nothing there. They certainly weren't bored. The intention of Starfield's exploration is to evoke a feeling of smallness in players and make you feel overwhelmed. You can continue to explore and find worlds that do have resources you need or hidden outposts to look through.
And like on its face, that's not a bad statement,
Yeah.
but it's also like
a little bit of a fuck you.
But it's also like when the real astronauts landed, they weren't bored. Yeah, you know what? Their lives were also at risk.
Right.
When I'm playing a game where I land on a planet by pressing A and then I take off from the planet by pressing B, the act of going to the planet is a little less exciting than fucking Apollo 11?
Yeah.
Like it's like, dude, you can't just do it. Real life and games are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And then there's another one where someone is like, oh, we're sorry that some of them are more professional. It's like, hey, someone complained about the loading screens. And the response was, hey, we kind of need all these loading screens to have all this content in there. It's like, okay, that's a bit more understandable. But it's the way some of them are like, oh, well, it actually isn't boring. Someone makes a complaint of, hey, there's nothing to do. And the response is a lot of PR, but dressed up in that PR is, well, you're just playing it wrong.
Yeah, you're playing it wrong.
and that's what makes this whole situation feel like not icky. Like it doesn't feel like Bethesda's taking things too far. It feels a bit more embarrassing, right?
Yeah,
Of like, oh, you're taking this negative review really personally and you're lashing out in your most polite PR friendly way.
Yeah.
And if anything, it gives really good insight into, well, actually, like Bethesda's always been kind of notoriously
prickly.
Not just prickly, what's the word? Punitive. Like they revenge. They want revenge on people.
Yes.
I think Kotaku is still blackballed by Bethesda because one of the employees that no longer works there broke a story about Fallout 4. And so Bethesda not only blackballed Kotaku, but then blackballed the next place that he went to. I think it's Axios. I think it maybe was Steven Totillo. But like the blackball followed Totillo, but they also didn't unblackball the other people.
Right.
Because Todd Howard is petty. That's what it is. They're
petty. They're very petty.
Bethesda has a notorious pettiness. And so to see this response, I feel like this is that pettiness aimed at the players instead of the publications.
Yeah.
And it's like,
we're not stupid, you're stupid.
It's like, has Bethesda always been this way, or is this just them like taking negative Starfield reviews really, really personally?
This is them taking negative reviews really personally. They really hate the fact that people don't like their game. They're really, really pissed that people don't like their game.
It's like, these loading screens are not boring. The game's not boring. You're boring.
You're boring. Right.
And like, they're not offering alternatives, right? I think their
alternatives are submit your feedback, please.
Yeah.
Here's a link to the feedback page.
It's not like they're saying, oh, you have a problem with XYZ. Well, we hear you. Here's what we're doing to try to resolve those issues. It's, oh, you have a problem with XYZ? Well, first of all, here's why those aren't problems. Second of all, you could do these other awesome things in the game. But it's like, well, those other things aren't awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty funny to watch. But yeah, you can tell that they're a little upset that people are not liking their game and they're blaming us for us not liking their game. So, something's wrong with us, clearly. We don't understand their vision.
AC Ray says, perhaps because Bethesda makes the same game with different themes. Therefore, people don't like one of their games. They don't like Bethesda. But I don't think that's true. Because neither of us really jumped on Starfield. But like, I think it's fair to say we're both Bethesda fans, right?
Oh, yeah.
Skyrim, absolute classic. Fallout,
absolutely. Like, like
I like Bethesda games.
I would
I-
like that game if there was a fucking story to it.
I think Starfield is their weakest game because it's the least Bethesda of all their games.
Yeah.
So I wish they had made a more similar game. You know what? You know what they should have done? They should have just
Skyrim in space. That's all they needed to do.
Exactly.
Skyrim in
that's all they
space.
should have
Go make it.
just make the exact same game. Make Skyrim the same quests, same dialogue, just reskin everything. But instead of dragons, have it be aliens, but you're still getting alien shouts instead of dragon shouts. Just everything about the game's the same, just with a different skin on it.
Yeah. And we would have been fine. I mean, I would have been more fine with that than what we got with Starfield. And trust me, I wanted to like Starfield. I really wanted to like Starfield because it was a Bethesda game.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, I realized, wow, I mean, there's a lot to do. It's just really boring. All of it's really, really boring. And then I started playing Baldur's Gate. And it was like, oh, this is what I wanted.
And
This is what I wanted.
I think there's definitely potential for that game, but I want to go back to Starfield in 6 months.
They should be used to the negative reviews after Redfall.
Was that Bethesda?
That was Bethesda, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. No, it was. It's from like a subsidiary of a subsidiary of Bethesda.
Yeah, Arcane.
Yeah, there's Bethesda owns Arcane, and a team of Arcane made that. That's right.
They have not had a good year.
Bethesda,
they did not have a good year. Poor Bethesda.
Which is horrible to say because this is like supposed to be the year of Bethesda. Right? This is the year Starfield came out. This is the year Starfield turns the Xbox around.
This was the year that Xbox's acquisition of Bethesda was going to pay off.
Mm-hmm. Which, like, on one hand, is really unfair to Bethesda to put the weight of an entire console ecosystem on one game.
Yeah,
but also, the game's kind of meh.
Yeah,
but like I was saying, I want to come back to it in 6 months to see if something has changed. Like Baldur's Gate keeps adding stuff and keeps refining stuff. Cyberpunk has added and refined things. I want to play Starfield 6 months or a year later and see what it's like.
If they would spend less effort responding to people who don't like the game and more effort actually trying to fix the game and put the stuff into the game that should have been there or that we want to be in there.
When you say that, I'm picturing Todd Howard personally on a whole bunch of different burner accounts typing all those messages. They're all him.
They're all Todd Howard,
just under different names. He's got 50 different Steam burner
totally
accounts.
doobie schmertzing this. Yeah.
Oh, actually, that also reminded me. I didn't put it in here because I just stumbled across it on YouTube last night. Speaking of Todd Howard, there is a trailer for Amazon's Fallout TV show.
Yes, there is. And people are like, this looks really good.
Yes.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Todd Howard's secretary leaks them all. Oh, that's even worse. Todd Howard wrote all those things in private, and his secretary is like, I'm going to post this.
He's just screaming at the screen, and she's just taking notes. Send. And post.
Yes.
All right. So here,
yes,
let me
as much
pull
as
it
we
up.
make fun of Todd Howard. This is coming from Jonathan Nolan, who's famous for Westworld and Person of Interest, who's making a Fallout TV show. And yeah, it looks pretty good.
All right, let's watch it together. Can you hear it?
Yes.
I know that I've lived a relatively comfortable life.
Stop! Lucy!
Oh, this looks good.
You need to go home. Vault dwellers are an endangered species.
Yay, rad
Do not
roaches.
think you would be willing to do what it takes to survive.
First
up
episode,
here.
Rad Roach kills her.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you insist on staying, then you will have to adapt.
What was the name of the dog? I can't remember.
Dog meat.
That's right, dog meat. This looks so cool.
Tomorrow, so they say, will be a lovely day. A bright new sun will
Please release
suddenly
this
break
tomorrow.
through.
It's actually not that far away.
But I don't
God, it really, really is
see
Fallout.
tomorrow unless I see it with
What was the name of that town?
I forget.
I grabbed a moldy one.
It is so fun to see these things that I know in game in real life.
Yeah, I think the last couple years, especially this year, we've had a bunch of good video game adaptations in other
Yeah,
media.
they finally figured out how to do this right. When this hits, we got to have a watch party. Oh, that looks so good. Oh my God, that looks good. Jeez. Give it to me now. I need it now.
Yeah, I think I saw it's in March.
There we go. There's the teaser trailer. No, because this is the one that just released a day ago.
Yeah, no, the show premieres on April 12th.
Right. The show premieres April 12th.
Yeah.
We gotta have a watch party. On your and we should have actually an in-person watch party at your house with your gigantic television and like totally theme it. Like you, me, we'll make like things to eat, like snacks, like Nuka-Cola snacks.
But yeah, just get one of those glass Coca-Colas and
Right.
take the
right.
label off.
Yeah. And yeah, I could think of it like make a nice like
AC Ray,
a
this
menu.
rings of power after the bomb.
And here's the thing is that this is coming out at a time when shit's going down in places. Oh my God. Like if we've ever been close to a nuclear war in the last, 50 years, we're right at there. Like it could pop off at any time. And the fact that this would be coming out at a time when that whole scenario is way more likely than when Fallout came out. I just kind of really like that idea. I think it's important to have those reminders that how bad things could get. Season 2 of Shield Hero sucked. Season 3 is actually good again. Good to know. I was actually thinking of Shield Hero.
Yeah,
just
Ezra
a couple days
Helsing
ago.
mentioned a watch party like we did for season 1.
Yep.
Mentioned doing it for season 2. Then AC Ray said season 2 sucked. Season 3 is actually good again.
Yeah. Did we watch the whole season of season 1 or did we stop? Did we get all the way through it?
I think we got all the way through it. I don't know if you watched all of it. I watched all of it with the group. I don't know if I didn't want to see season 2 afterwards. I wasn't super.
I
in
really
love with
liked it. And I think that I want to watch it again, obviously. Because I was thinking about it just the other day. Now that I've like actually hanging out with someone who likes anime. And he's recommending things to me and I'm recommending things to him.
There's a couple new ones on Netflix that I really want to see that I've heard nothing but wild praise for.
Right. Well, we should do one day.
Yeah.
Ooh, my camera's really having a hard time trying to figure out, do I want to be green or do I want to be red? Do we want to be green? Like,
Yeah, let me think. I'm a
keep
little.
switching, keep
I'm a
slipping back and
little.
forth.
Can I make this brighter now? Is that better? Do I
That
look a
is
little
better.
washed
No, no, no,
out?
no. That's much better. I was going to say you actually look very underlit before. So I was
I
going to
look a
say,
little
hey, can you?
blue. Should I go? Okay, that looks a
Oh,
little more
that's better.
natural.
That's better. Yeah. See, I'm a little too cool, so I'm gonna adjust
That's
my
too red.
camera.
That's too blue. That's a good natural color. There we go. I like this light.
I do.
This is
I like
pretty
the
good.
light too. I think it's important to be well lit. Always a good thing, especially filling in all of like the areas where certain people's faces are casting shadows.
It's always good to be lit, just not when you're playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Lighting is important. Oh, that. All right. So my next item is I have a Netflix and Disney Plus my cousin paid for. Really? Nice.
That's a good deal.
That is a very good deal. I actually had to buy oh, that reminds me, I gotta cancel it. I forgot what did I buy?
Your Hulu Black Friday
$70?
deal.
I think I bought Hulu for $70.
Why?
$70 a month. It wasn't a Black Friday because I
Why?
wanted to watch the
Oh,
debate.
Oh,
So I have to
why?
cancel it. Because I wanted to watch it because I'm a political wonk. That's what I do. It's my job.
Wait, was this a Republican debate or was this the DeSantis
Yes, Newsom debate.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was.
I heard about that.
It was awful. Oh God, it was just. I was so embarrassed for both of them, but mostly for Gavin. He should have never done that. I mean, he actually had nothing to lose by doing it, but yeah. Well, there's a method to his madness. Everybody has already opined, and it's probably true.
Anyways, so yeah, what was the game news that you had?
The game news I have. Oh, games? What are those? Let's see what else have I got. All right, my last item is. Oh no, I want to. Okay, allow. Sorry, I'm going into my camera. There we go. My camera settings. Try and change the colors. Have you heard about the game Nightingale?
No.
All right, so this is an upcoming survival game.
It's a little weird because in Alan Wake 2, I was just chasing a dead body of a guy named Nightingale.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Where weren't you?
Am I in Alan Wake's story? Is this all just part of the fiction?
Maybe. I don't know. But Nightingale is an open world survival game that is set to come out by Inflexion Games. A lot of people are saying it's actually looks really, really, really promising.
Okay.
I'll pull up a trailer so that you guys can see what we're talking about. This is I'm gonna pull up the trailer from the Game Fest, last year's Game Fest. Also mute it so we're not talking over it. And there. So, yeah, there's a Nightingale. It is about to go into a public beta. And unlike other public betas where it's just an opportunity to market the game to people and get people doing stuff, this is actually the developers have said they're inviting all aspiring realm walkers to help break the portal network as we stress test. And I just lost my place here. As we stress test the Nightingale servers in early 2024, we welcome everyone to sign up for the event and give players eagerly anticipating the release of Nightingale a taste of the realms before we officially open on February 22nd, 2024. So this is coming out February. They're doing an open beta and they want you to break it, which sounds kind of fun. To just they want to see how many people they can do and what it has to do to break it. Now they can fix it before they get it, which is kind of a nice thing because a lot of times they use these open betas to get people into the game and then make them wait, and then when it launches it doesn't work until it they sort out the server hell. But in this one it looks like they want to do the server hell early. And yeah, it appears to be kind of cyberpunkish kind of,
No, it's like a
but more like
it looks like reminds me of Greedfall.
yeah, a little bit, and a little bit of Bethesda of Fallout, like
Hmm.
Fallout meets Greedfall. So yeah, looks kind of cool. PlayNightingale.com is where you can sign up for the beta. I am going to be signing up for that beta because it seems really cool. And we can go in and try to mess up the servers, because I can mess up a server like crazy. I just have that habit of I break things. Electronic things tend to go on the fritz around me and break in ways. Kevin used to say to me, like, how did you do that? I'm like, I turned it on. And he used to think I was joking. I'm like, no, things, electronic stuff go really haywire around me, and I don't do anything. I remember the first time I locked up an iPod mini, and he's like, I've never seen somebody lock up an iPod mini. What were you doing? I'm like, playing music? Well, what did you touch? What did you push? Power on? Next song? He's like, all right, it's just you. Yeah, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm all for it, and it's at playnightingale.com. If you want to be part of that stress test, I will be there with you, breaking shit. But yeah, also the fact that it's coming out in February, which I'm also very excited about. Thank you there. Gas lamp fantasy, steampunk's magical cousin. Good to know. Gas lamp fantasy. So, and here's the link. Thank you, AC Wraith. So your next item?
Okay, sorry. I was reading this thing about Far Cry 7 that I think it was Ezio. Yeah, Helsing put in to the Discord. That's interesting. But before then, I'll put the news I had. Capcom has confirmed, I guess not Capcom specifically, but Yoshihiro Ampo, the director of the Resident Evil 4 remake, said in an interview that yes, we will remake more games in the future. So that kind of started off a little series of speculation posts about what the next remake is going to be, but also the fact that they've kind of remade all the classic games that people love, and what's left to remake is a lot of the deeper cuts. There's Resident Evil 0, which was like a prequel, Resident Evil
Right.
Code Veronica.
Right. I remember Code Veronica.
Or then you can get into like the more action ones like 5 and 6. And so the question is, are they going to just stick to numbered Resident Evils, or are they going to do 0, Code Veronica, Revelations? Like where is this remake phase going? Like all the remakes have been excellent. So it's not like anyone is complaining about this.
Right.
Because they're not just Last of Us 2, style remasters. They're kind of from the ground up remakes. So people enjoy them, but it's like, okay, where does this go? When does this end?
It's not going to end anytime soon. They know where their money comes from. They know how to make money from it. They know how to make money quickly, and all of those things start and end with Resident Evil remakes. There's no reason to fix what ain't broke, and they've got a huge catalog of Resident Evils that both the big ones and the deep cuts that they can just pull upon, remake them, and as long as they do them well, people will buy them and they will be immensely successful.
Yeah.
We're getting a Star Wars every year for a reason.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
When was the last time a Star Wars movie came out?
Exactly.
That's right, 2019.
Yeah, there was what they say they said you were supposed to get one every year.
They said every year.
Yeah, and then everybody was like, "No!" no.
And then they kind of fucked it up.
Yeah, and then they realized maybe this is not a bad idea. Maybe quantity is better than quality is better than quantity.
Uh-huh. Did you ever see Rise of Skywalker?
The last one I saw was when Han Solo died. That's the
Okay.
last one I saw.
Force Awakens. So you
Force
didn't even see the best one of the new trilogy.
Nope, I haven't seen. I have kind of been released from my the imposed moratorium on Star Wars with the death of my husband. Now I can see them and like them without feeling bad about them. The problem is that there still is a lot of energy, psychic energy around some of the people that are working on that and how badly they treated Kevin. So I've got to get over that before I can watch it without feeling something like that. I want to watch. I've always wanted to watch those movies on their own at a time when I wouldn't be thinking about what people did to Kevin. So it's going to be a little while before I do it, but I'll get there one of these days.
Okay. There's no rush.
Yeah,
a lot
I have to get past the bitterness.
Also, like a lot of the newer trilogy isn't that good.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like if somebody said, "Oh my god, these last ones were amazing," then I probably would be more inclined to like, okay, I'll go see it because I want to see how amazing it is. Kind of like the Barbie movie. I wouldn't have seen the Barbie movie if people hadn't said the Barbie movie was amazing, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So same thing. If they come out with one that is, blows doors, then I will absolutely watch them all so I can catch up and then watch the one that blows doors.
Yeah.
But until that happens, right now the bitterness is overriding any need to see a Star Wars at this point. Even though it kind of wrecks my nerd cred.
No, it doesn't. If anything, hating Star Wars gives you more nerd cred at the moment.
True.
How did we get on to Star Wars?
I don't know. We got onto Star Wars because of Resident Evil, and then
I'm trying to remember
Star Wars every year, and then
Star Wars every year, line every year.
You're gonna, and I said that Resident Evil, they're gonna be like just Star Wars every year. Resident Evil, they're just gonna keep remaking them until they run out of all the remakes, and then they'll have to make a new one.
But there is actually, and I saw this was like a comment that someone had on our call, and it was kind of an interesting point because it made me think of Star Wars, like. A lot of people don't like the recent trilogy, and a lot of people they should just redo it. But they'll never do that. Remaking those old Resident Evil games kind of gives Capcom a chance to redo their old games. Resident Evil 6, famously, people didn't like it. People hated it. This is the chance to go back and redo that game and to get a mulligan, which is not something you see a lot of, like a publisher revisiting kind of the entire history of a franchise in a way to kind of give a revised history of this franchise.
Right. Go back and do it the right way. And I think that's not a bad thing for them to be doing, and I don't think it's a bad thing for a lot of companies to be doing. I kind of like the idea, especially with games that were I really, really, really wanted to like and ended up hating, going back and fixing it. I think that there is enough people that have seen that No Man's Sky got fixed over a process of almost a decade now. They finally fixed that game and made it actually kind of good. Cyberpunk, in a way, is kind of doing that slowly and getting it there where it's turning into a functional game that people want to play. I would venture to guess that Cyberpunk is actually making more money than it did at the beginning.
Maybe.
Because people, I mean, even you and I are like, well, we're really considering going, and one of these days we really should try Cyberpunk now that it's not broken. Yeah, that whole cycle of you buy a game, and if it's not good the first time, then you've lost and you need to move on. There's enough money that has been spent on creating that bad game in the first place that if they can salvage anything from it, it makes good fiscal sense that they do. And we are becoming much more mature as consumers to forgive if they want to remake it and do it right. And if somebody says, wow, this is the game we wanted, people will buy it, even though it's an old game. We wouldn't have done that 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We'd never have done that, but we will now. And Resident Evil has recognized that, or, Capcom has recognized that. And I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful thing that they're remaking. It used to be seen as, oh, they're redoing a game. Oh, it's a cash grab. And Capcom is the first ones to show that it is a cash grab, but it can be a cash grab that is done in a way to engender good feelings from the community, not bad feelings.
Well, I think the
If you do
difference
it right, we'll accept it and you'll make money off of it.
Yeah, the difference is that a lot of those cash grabs are like, hey, it's the same game, we put a shinier coat of paint on it.
Grand Theft Auto being one of them.
Was the Resident Evil remakes are very much from the ground up remakes that completely change how it plays, that
Right.
modernize them. Like you go back and play Resident Evil 2, the original, and you compare that to the Resident Evil 2 that came out 5 years ago. Like they are two entirely different structured games, but they have that same feeling. They have that same core fear and sensibility to them. And I think that's, it's like the Dead Space remake. Did EA need to go back and remake Dead Space? No, but they did such a good job of modernizing that game, taking advantage of like ray tracing, especially for a horror game, that it makes me want to see them go forward, because again, that's a game where the games kind of got progressively worse as they went along. I want to see this team do Dead Space 2, and I want to see EA get a chance to, do it right.
Do it right. Right. Yes. And we will accept that now. 10 years ago, the consumer, vast majority of consumers would have never been okay with that. But then again, 10 years ago, developers wouldn't have taken these IPs and completely redone them so they made them less sucky. They would just have kind of, like you said, new coat of paint, maybe throw skin, make it a little shinier, and then just dish it back out. And Capcom knows that you can not just why fix it if it ain't broke, but fix it if it is.
Yeah.
If it is broke, go in and fix it, and we will absolutely buy the unbroke version, even though we also own the broke version as well. Because we want it to be big. We want those Resident Evil
Want it to
is
be
an
better.
IP. We really, really, really wanted those games to be good.
And
So
the thing is,
it's vindication for us as well.
yeah, and things most of those games are good. If anything, I was just thinking about this. It might be like one of the longest running positively received franchises. Like I think it might have more solid hits than most franchises that go that long.
True. Certainly with the most amount in the shortest amount of time. I mean, it's not like we have to wait 15 years between episodes for those.
Yeah, no.
They put them out, some better than others, but all of them well received. Almost all of them well received.
Especially the past like decade of Resident Evil games, from Resident Evil 4 remake to the 3 remake was a little iffy, but like people still liked it. 2 remake, then Resident Evil 7, then Resident Evil 8. All of them really good.
Yep.
And speaking of Capcom, we didn't mention it. I didn't have it, but they released a new trailer for Dragon's Dogma 2 that has a March release date, I think.
Oh, really?
That was the big news, that the game is coming out sooner than I expected.
Yeah. Already 2024 is shaping up to be possibly like almost, dare I say, a better year than 2023. 2023 was a kick-ass year.
I don't know if I would go that far. 2023 is ludicrous for how many good games came out.
I've got some high hopes. I've got some real high hopes for some really, really good games.
Okay.
All right. So next item.
This is a small one, but a cool one. EA, I guess, for Apex Legends, had made this epileptic accessibility feature, and has part of their program, they're making it open source so that anyone can use it.
That is such a good thing.
Yeah, and I guess the feature is a tool that automatically analyzes and identifies specific frames that could trigger an epileptic episode for folks.
That's
And
great.
so you have that going, and it will like, we see the frame that would cause this issue, and we're going to remove that frame, or like dim the frame and make it less extreme.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. And I love the fact that they're making that open source so anybody can use it, and that it becomes an industry standard within all games. Because if it's
Yeah.
open source, everybody's going to use it, which is
And
great.
and I guess the crazy thing is, this is not the first time they've done that.
Mhm.
This is from a Kotaku article that says EA already has several accessibility patents that have been made available for outside developers. Along with the ping feature from Apex Legends, there's a machine learning program that recommends optimal controller configurations, custom player voice commands to control NPCs, and a haptic feedback sequences that display player information on screen. So they've made a whole bunch of stuff that they've
Go
put
figure.
open source
One of the world's most hated companies has actually been doing something really good for all these years, and we didn't know it.
without advertising it.
Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah.
So that's I haven't anything else. Do you have anything else?
Okay, I want to try to let me stretch for a moment while I read through these rumors about Far Cry 7.
All right. Well, then I will ask everybody how in the chat room, how do we sound? Because of course, as you may or may not have heard, bought an entirely everything you're seeing now, with the exception of the camera and the microphone, is new. And speakers, but you don't use the speakers, but everything is new. Brand new computer, brand new. Like and I showed it earlier, the pile of equipment and interfaces and several boxes full of cords that connected them all together, no longer here. I now only am using one thing, and I'm pulling my camera down so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. The vocoder. Sorry, the vocaster. It is one box that does everything, that does it all. Come on, get into focus here. Come on. There we go. The vocaster. One box does it all, and actually does more than what the other box could do. The box says, as in like 7 or 8 different boxes that I needed to make things work. And it's all working, and it works great. And I'm still working on getting balances correct and everything working everything works properly. Like, all I did was plug it in. I called up Nick. I go, "Can you hear me?" "Yes." "Can I hear you?" "Yes." Holy crap, that worked. All I had to do was plug it in. So huge thumbs up to Scarlett and their Vocaster One. Life-changing for me. But more importantly is that I need to get my levels right. I need to go back and listen. So anything sound weird? Am I too low? Is Nick too loud? Is the computer too loud? What things? One thing to rule them all, no cords to bind them. I think I think I may just like demo that and just put that as like the words around the outside edge of this, because it really is one box
Get
to
it
rule them all.
engraved.
Get it engraved. One box to rule them all, no cords to bind them. Sounds good on this end. Nick and my balance is good. He sounds just as loud as I do, and he's not booming or too quiet compared to me. There you go. And it's cheap. It's pretty freaking cheap. Can't believe how cheap it was. And I almost actually ended up buying a box that was almost twice as expensive. And then I saw this and I'm like, wait a minute. I think this will work.
Like, wait a minute, this does everything I need.
It does everything I need, and I don't have to go a loop back, and I don't have to create these weird, like, feedback so that I can hear Nick from the computer in my head that is in recorded time, but myself in local time, so that everything is not, like, things aren't out of sync and I'm not echoing in my head. I don't have any delay of my own voice in my head. All of it just worked. It just, you plug it in and you can podcast. So, and it was like, I think they retail $99. I think I got it for $89 because of Black Friday. So yeah, Scarlett, man, they know what they're doing. They know how to make a good box. Have you read it?
Yes, I was reading this. Ezio Helsing put this in the Discord, and it comes from rumors from Insider Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone who thinks the best Far Cry is Far Cry 2, this sounds really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the current rumors are that Far Cry 7 will feature a non-linear story centering around the kidnapping of the player's wealthy family by a conspiracy group. The catch is that um, it's going to play out in kind of real time, similar to Dead Rising, so that you'll have objectives you need to complete in real time, in real game time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, specifically, leaks claim that the in-game timer will give the player 72 in-game hours to rescue their family, which equates to about 24 hours in real time. And that will continue ticking away in the background and can only be paused when players enter safe houses. So that means like you're in a safe house, you're going to go out to try to do something. And if you can't get back to a safe house, that timer is just going to keep ticking down, ticking down, ticking down.
So if you quit the game and you're not in a safe house?
In theory, that
Oh, that's
would
kind of
keep
messed
ticking
up.
down.
That's so 24 right
Oh,
now.
that's fucked up. That's why I love it. I love that idea. That is such a good idea.
Oh,
And
that actually does sound kind of cool, but also
it
it's kind of terrifying.
it continues saying that there will be an interrogation mechanic which will help players rescue their family, but NPCs will be able to lie, stay quiet, and even escape. That sounds cool. So, okay, Far Cry 2 was the best Far Cry game
That
because
was the one on the island?
no, that was the one in Africa.
Oh, right.
And it was so good because it gave you so many ways to fuck with you. Where like you could be in the middle of a firefight and then you're hit with a malaria outbreak and you're like, oh shit, I gotta take my pills in the middle of a firefight. Or you're shooting and your gun jams because you picked up a gun from a dead body instead of buying it from the shop. So now you got a shitty gun that jams. Or the fire system was really cool. And you had companions with you. So like, oh hey, I've got my companion. If he goes down, I can revitalize him with one of my syringes, but I've only got a limited number of those. If he goes down too many times, then I can't help him back up. And that led to some kind of dramatic moments where I'm with my companion, and we've gone through several firefights. And like now he's on the ground, and I put a syringe in him, and he's still dying. I put another syringe in him, and he's still dying. I put another syringe in him, and then he dies in my arms. And it's like, no, my my friend, my buddy. Or even worse, it leads to moments where your friend is down. I throw a Molotov cocktail, and then I'm like, okay, where's my buddy? Oh, the fire
Oh.
spread.
Oh, that didn't go well.
Oops.
Oh, oops.
But like,
Sorry.
and all the subsequent Far Cry games like sanded off all those rough edges
Right.
so that the games became much more playable. But like there's just less ways to mess with you. And I loved how it messed with me. So the idea that, you know, if I'm playing and I can't get to a safe house, that I'll be punished for that. I like that idea. I like there being some sort of pushback instead of saying, hey, player, you can do whatever you want anytime you want with no pushback at all. I want the game to I want it to fuck with me, right? I
Right.
want it to mess with me. I want it to jam my gun and give me malaria. I want, like in Baldur's Gate, I want a chance to roll a 1 and completely screw myself up.
Oh, that's terrible.
What?
That is terrible. I want a chance to roll a 1 and fuck everything up.
Yeah. So that's actually really cool. That makes me excited to see where they go.
Yeah. Me too. All right. Well, I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah, because I played 6, and 6, like, it was a fine game. It played really well. The running and gunning of Far Cry has always been fun, and
Mhm.
it was fun, but I kind of played it for 5 or so hours and then fell off it because I've played that game before.
Right. Right. So I got nothing else. What do you got? Anything?
Nothing super compelling.
Well, that's fine. It's
Um,
5 o'clock. We could leave.
that's there's
We've been going for 3 hours, Nick. We could leave easily.
no, we need to stretch it for 6 more minutes
I why?
so that the timer flips over to 3 hours. Right now we're at 2 hours and 54 minutes and 53 seconds. We need that to
No.
flip 3.
No, let's not.
No,
Let's
it's like when the
not.
odometer rolls over to 100 when it's been at 99,000.
Yeah, no. If Goalie were here, he might say Nick's volume is 100% too high. Yeah. No, let's not.
Okay. Well,
Let's
well,
leave them wanting more.
no.
Exactly 4
What I'll
minutes and 30
say,
seconds more.
but there's news because within this upcoming week, we will have the first trailer for GTA 6,
Mhm.
and
True.
we will have the Game Awards.
Oh yeah. Do we want
I
to watch the Game
believe.
Awards together? Want to have a watch party?
When are they exactly?
I don't know.
I think they're on the 6th. No, the 7th.
The 7th Game Awards. That's also the day that the safe mode comes out. Safe Seas comes out on for Sea of Thieves. Yeah, December 7th, the day that will live in infamy.
December 7th. Where is
You know what December 7th is, right? The day that will live in infamy and why it is that.
I only know because you say it's the day that lives in infamy, and I assume that means Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
I wouldn't
Pearl
have I
Harbor
wouldn't
Day.
have known that anyways.
Do you know why it's called the day that will live in infamy?
Because that was part of the president's speech at the time.
December 7th, 1941 is a day that will live in infamy.
I'm trying to see what time the Game Awards start.
It starts at watch. How to watch. It starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Oh wow, that's like right in the middle of the day.
4:30? Not me. Maybe you.
Yeah, for me, that's like right in the middle
Right,
of my
but you also
day.
work from home, so I would have to actually leave work at 3 o'clock to be home by 4:30. But which I could do. What day of the week is the 7th?
A Thursday.
Oh yeah. I could be home for that.
I'll be in the office Thursday though, so I'll just watch it on my office computer. That's fine.
Are you going to the office? Are you actually going into the office these days?
Yeah, I do it 3 days a week.
Oh wow! Look at you having to take a shower.
I
Having to
know.
wake up in the morning as opposed to the afternoon.
It sucks.
I know, it's terrible.
Okay, well, the GTA 6 trailer will be
Mhm.
out on December 5th at 6 a.m. Pacific time.
Fuck that. No, that's not happening. We're not having a watch party of that. We will be talking about it, but do you wanna have a watch party and watch, GTA or watch, Game Wars together?
It might be hard to do that if I'm going to be at work.
Can you not be at work that day?
I mean,
You
I
say,
could.
"I'm working from home that day because I have something I needed to do in the afternoon." I have I have if my bosses are watching, they'll be very angry. But trust me, when I've used this excuse before, it has been real. I ordered some electronics from Amazon and I don't want them leaving them out on the curb. I want to be here when it's delivered because it's too dangerous to leave them out on the curb.
I have a delivery due. Let me see when that delivery is due. Because that might actually be the honest truth.
Mm-hmm. It's nicer when it's the honest truth, but that is also a very, especially this time of year. Holy crap! The porch pirates are on patrol. I'm amazed I got all of my computer stuff. Well, I'm not because I actually have a little area where you can tuck it away. But it's been nothing but complaints about the porch pirates stealing stuff off of front porches in my neighborhood, at least since like pretty much the day like Black Friday on. It's been porch pirates all times. Really? Come, I can't see. It's all white.
I know. I'm trying to see. Yeah, it says now expected by December 6th.
December 7th. Yeah, well, I say
1 day off.
that you explain that you have a bunch of very expensive electronics that are arriving. They're being delivered to your home that day. And I don't want them left out where someone could take them, could steal them, where porch pirates could get them. So I want to be home when they're delivered. And there's not a person in the world who will begrudge you of that, especially when you can easily work from home, because you do. Just explain to your boss. Need to be on that day. And then whenever you do, don't watch my podcast.
Chunderbox says, I forgot how good the healing animations were in Far Cry 2. There's a great clip of them all I found, and we'll put the link in Discord.
I will watch that.
Do that, because some of those animations are like, they will make you cringe. It's like, oh, his finger is off, and he like takes it, snaps it back into place. Or like he's got a piece of shrapnel sticking out of his arm, so he takes it, rips it out. So
all right, so you made it 3 minutes, 3 hours. Congratulations, Nick. So yeah, let's we'll post information in the Discord about doing it. I don't know if we want to do a watch party in Discord or if we want to do a watch party on YouTube and Twitch, but we'll probably do one or all. So on that note, let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 699. We are recording this on Sunday, December 3rd, 2023. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick Nicola. Ways to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record the show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch and on YouTube. On Twitch, we are the GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS as in videos. Please, if you have not liked and subscribed this episode, please go put a thumbs up wherever you are, either star it, whatever. But if you're on YouTube especially, give it a thumbs up, please, right now. Thumb it. And if you have not already subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you are on Twitch and you have not already if you'd like to subscribe, fantastic. But if you are an Amazon Prime user and you have not used your free membership, might I recommend that you use your free membership for us. It does help. We do get a little bit of money, and it does actually help cover expenses for all of the stuff that we need to do, these subscriptions for all the services in order to bring you the show. If you would like to go a little bit farther and become a patron, we are on Patreon. Patreon.com/the GameHound, or for patreon.com/GameHounds, for patreon.com/GameHounds. Go there, and $1 a month is all we ask. It helps pay for, like I said, the subscriptions that we need in order to do this show. It goes really nowhere else. But if you break it down, it's like if we do 4 shows a month, sometimes 5 shows, it's the most 25 cents a show. That's a pretty good deal for 3 hours of stuff. Please come back next week. We look forward to hearing from you. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for being here. And if you would like to be part of that watch party, you can join our Discord. There is our link to join our Discord. We will be announcing in the show, or in the Discord, when we will be doing the Game Awards show. We will 99% chance that we will be doing a watch party. So we'd love to have you join that on December 7th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We will see you next week, all. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Yay, we're done. All right, everyone. Why is this not working out well? There we go. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to turn off my banners. All right, everyone. I am going to go make myself some dinner. Edie, do not forget the audio this week. All right.
And that was Ezra Helsing singing, not AC Wraith for once.
All right. You're guilting me into this, and yes, I'll do that this week. In fact, the other thing I have to do is I have to upload all of the scoots from Bali because my computer was so broken. That was what really kind of sort of did it for me. I couldn't upload anything onto YouTube because my scoots were so long that it would lock up my computer. So I have not uploaded any of my Bali stuff. So I got to go upload the scoots from Bali and then continue on the scoots that I have because I had scoots from when the APOC was here. The like Biden and Xi Jinping and everybody else was in town, and all of the not the riots, but all the protests. I mean, it was all happening right at the ferry building where we were, where they were all coming in for their Biden was holding a welcoming dinner. So all the dignitaries were showing up, Pink played, and it was a madhouse of screaming protesters the whole time. So it was a bit of a nightmare. But I have, footage from that because I had to drive through scoot through all of that. All right.
Yeah, I will say Last Jedi. Fight me.
That's the best one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to fight anybody.
It's a very controversial opinion in the
All right.
Star Wars community.
All right there. What was
But it's also true.
Rips the head off of Nightbot. Oh, Nightbot, did you get in trouble? Back to square one. Stop spamming caps, Nightbot.
Oh, he did that because he said don't forget the audio.
Action stabs Nightbot. Rip the head off Nightbot. Nightbot
You should
is
know.
the most hated listener.
Nightbot cannot be stopped.
It's true. Really can't. All right. See you, everyone. Bye. See you hopefully later next week on Thursday. See ya. Bye.
Bye.